We're just receiving word of a massive trade in the NBA. The Lakers have traded Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Luka Doncic.
What?
In a 3-team deal.
This is the holy grail, okay, and the only kind of thing that can knock off Kansas City Chiefs three-peat Super Bowl. Baseball used to be able to do this. Baseball cannot do this. Baseball used to own the transaction.
Yeah.
The transaction now belongs to basketball. And I hadn't realized until this trade, oh, holy God, we're going into Super Bowl week. And the trade deadline is at the same time. That hasn't happened before. It's because the regular season is longer. Is that why that's happening? Like, these two things don't happen at the same time, and we're going to have them happening at the same time. And it starts with the reason this is the Holy Grail, Stugotz, isn't just that it's stars and shocking, okay? Because that would make it enough to be like, oh, my God, everyone in sports is going to be clucking about this. But it's also these two things that you don't get to have all the time. Possible malpractice, like where we can all go to the Dallas GM, who many of us learned his name. Like, whoa, is that just straight incompetence? So there's that.
Right.
And then this is what makes it the Holy Grail, right here, what I'm about to say. Fishy. 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 When I throw fishy in the mix.
People love fishy.
Oh, my God.
Yes, they do.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
So it's not just stars shocking. What do you mean Luka's being traded? Oh, look, I'm used to athlete divas, so I get, wait a minute, just out of shape and won't play defense? No, you give him the Supermax, idiot. He's one of the most historic players ever. He's 25 years old. This player never gets traded. And when I walk into the room today and I'm like, give me worst trades in basketball history, everyone's got an opinion, and it's immediately this. This is the worst trade in NBA history. Everyone's got that opinion, except for Charles Barkley. We'll get to him in a second. But, man, oh, man, to see the last 15 years transact into this, where you realize that the damage done on LeBron James is, good Lord, do we make Anthony Davis a peasant for serving him the last few years? That's a great player that everyone mocks today. Like, that player's usually not available at 32 years old unless he's disgruntled.
He's been available twice.
I know, but I'm saying when you look at what you're...
You mean like historically? Fitness-wise?
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's mocking him about the fact that in the last 4 years, he's only played 76 or 60 games once, and it was last year.
Right. Yeah.
But he's also shot 26% from three since the bubble. Like, that's crazy. That's worse than the league stuff. Like, that's a lot worse than Russell Westbrook. But people are devaluing what that player is. And I got a bunch of sound I want to play for you here. But what other elements do I need to put in this story for it to be the seismic thing that shakes the Super Bowl and now leads us into the trade deadline? It was already, for me, used to be a miserable week because it was just the Super Bowl. But you throw the trade deadline in the mix.
Oh, wow. Yeah, little bonus, little gravy on top. How about that? The NBA wins a weekend. I mean, although they would not have won that weekend if Titans-Jags played yesterday. I'm telling you, if we had a single NFL game to talk about, I'm not certain we lead with this NBA trade.
AFC, whatever, NFC 73, AFC 65. Okay, and we all agree. Time to get rid of all the exhibitions.
It was a tug of war.
I love the Pro Bowl games.
Really?
Take it back. It's fun. It's like when you get a good television crossover episode, you're like, oh, look, it's Baker Mayfield and Jackson Smith and Jigba like hanging out like they're friends.
He's throwing dirt.
He's throwing interceptions. He's throwing touchdowns. It's great. I love it.
I was watching the Clash at Bowman Gray.
We all woke up to this, yes? Or were some people?
No, I was out. And then I said the same thing that everybody did. Like, did Shams get hacked? And then 4 minutes later, he was like, no, this is real. And I was texting other NBA insiders asking if Shams got hacked. And they were saying, like, no, we're hearing it's real.
Yes, this is real, he tweeted. That rarely happens.
Remember when the Miami Heat were like, Shams doesn't know what he's talking about? And even this trade was so absurd that even I doubted the dude that once broke Donald Trump had COVID.
Yeah, Shams doesn't get very much wrong. And I'd like to go through, Stugotz, some of what was happening here. Because before we get to Nico Harrison, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did you know Nico Harrison was the Mavs GM before he realized his incompetence? Because everyone is looking at this as an act of sheer incompetence to only offer a generational player. Like Stan Van Gundy says, best offensive player ever. Stugotz, this player's never available at this age by trade. To have the Mavs show you, oh, Mark Cuban's not running things anymore. He's not the voice on this. You're not seeing him in public anymore. Oh, he's out. He owns 27% of the team, but there it is. They didn't want to pay him the Supermax, and we will say, well, out of shape, and this part, Stugotz, is interesting. The Miami Heat are now loading up for 2026, and those deals aren't made a year from now. Like, those deals get made back channels, however it is that you make those deals on, okay, we're going to build a team around Luka in 2026, right? Like, wink, wink.
Right.
However it is that stuff happens in the corridors, like whatever it is that you think Pat Riley is doing right now is not just about Jimmy Butler, okay? It's about what do we have in 2026, and you can imagine the movement all around that. And everyone asking, how does that player go to the Lakers, right? Look, that's also extra fishy, as you have LeBron James saying he didn't know anything, and nobody believes that. Nobody. There's just
that's
no.
Funny.
That could be. It must be very frustrating if it were factual for LeBron James. If it were factual that he didn't actually know anything.
He knew.
What I understand, Stugotz?
Yep.
Yes, no one disagrees with you. I'm just saying how frustrating it must be because he went on the internet and he's putting out clown tweets and calling people liars because it's being reported that he was at dinner and he knew nothing about this.
Well, there was that video from, I think it was last week, where reporters were strangely asking Anthony Davis about his Lakers legacy, and Anthony Davis is like, "Are you guys trading me?" And someone goes, "Check your phone" at the very end of it. So look, the Mavericks approached the Lakers, which I think is like the most insane part about all of this. Rob Pelinka reportedly was like, "Are you me right now?"
Has anyone stopped to think as to why the Mavericks would do this deal? Nico Harrison knew he would be a punchline after making this deal. He knew that he was giving up a 25-year-old generational player who took him to the NBA Finals. But why did he give him up? Why did he decide to choose to build around Kyrie Irving instead of Luka? Think about that for a second.
Stugotz, everyone in this. Do you realize how rare it is for America as one? Sports fans, on behalf of we care about the transaction, for us to shout at the sky, Dallas, you fools! All of us together, a song into the sky. No, Mark Cuban runs for the shadows. He's been in the lights for how long? I don't want anything to do with this. Whoever it is that's running the Mavericks now, and go look at some of the past there, because you've got a lot of this hiding in the shadows in ownership, doesn't want to be associated with that gets the Supermax. So they have to get rid of it. But how do you do that? How do I form the argument? Because I'm going to try. How do I form the argument on why it is that Nico Harrison had to do it that way? As everyone says, why would you not shop him and just go all around the league? Because you get everyone in the league. Let's name them. Jokic, Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, players you wouldn't trade for Luka Doncic. Every other team in the league is in play for this player, correct?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I mean, did the Celtics trade Jason Tatum?
I think so. I think so, yes.
You think? You think Boston would be into getting like a white superstar?
Yeah, I think Boston would be into that.
10 years of a white superstar. Because the other thing...
Boston also likes guys who show up every night. I mean, you're sitting here slamming Anthony Davis, 70 games one time, last 7 years, I think it is, for Anthony Davis. 60 twice in the last 9 years or something like that. Luka doesn't play that much either. I mean, when's the last time you've seen Luka on a basketball court?
Sue, I know you're asking a question, but
the finals.
People have had 48 hours to ask themselves why would Dallas do this? And Tim McMahon is reporting stuff. There's stuff about Luka's conditioning. I mean, Luka puts out that statement, doesn't thank the Dallas front office at all. Clearly, there was a big schism between the two, but I think I was kind of introduced to Nico Harrison. I learned, as someone that's not really watching the NBA all that much during the regular season anymore, who is running the Dallas Mavericks. But for me, what really resonated is, well, who no longer is running the Dallas Mavericks anymore? To your Mark Cuban point, like, this is very clearly something that would have never happened.
Never. Well, Mark Cuban has been asked before. Like, he's been asked straight up of his marriage, which was more likely. You don't have Luka Doncic on the Mavericks or you get divorced. And he's like, I'm going to court to get my marriage papers. That will never happen on my watch. When I say fishy, it stretches. Like, Mark Cuban got out. And we're all like, why would he get out? He loves that thing. Why would he get out? Mm-hmm. Because he thought value was highest, as he's talking now about buying Fox. Like, how do I get the money to buy Fox? Because I started with broadcast properties, and I've used up what I love about basketball. It was weird to have this happen anywhere around Mark Cuban's watch. I'm guessing he's ashamed that he owns 27% of that, of that having happened. Because he no longer controls that team. And he told us he would. He did say when in the original transaction, he said he'd still be running the Mavericks, and he clearly is not. But let's discuss for a second, what are you guys hearing or reading on the other side of this? Just allow me for a moment to indulge the idea that Nico Harrison isn't a complete idiot.
Okay. Right.
Even as I understand, all of sports is shouting, how could you? Whatever. Like, I just can't believe how unison this is, that we can't agree on anything in this country except this.
Nico Harrison's an idiot.
It's an idiot.
It's united.
Yes.
Even if you take everything he's saying at face value, and like Luka does have serious conditioning issues and there's going to be health issues there, you could still get more for Luka Doncic. So, like, yeah, even if everything he's saying is true, why did you do it this way?
In a league where Gobert goes for 5 first-round picks, in a league where the Lakers got Anthony Davis for 3 first-round picks and 3 good players, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and Brandon Ingram. They got everything. This will always bring a halt. And, of course, if what I'm telling you is so, if the asset is I've got a historic international global icon superstar, 25 years old. You can have 10 years of him. It's a historic player. Stan Van Gundy says the best offensive player that there is. Mm-hmm. Or ever. I know you could disagree with that, but still. I do. But okay, you could disagree, and many people would, but I'm just saying you're talking about somebody who's in his prime and 25. The last time this became available, it was LeBron. LeBron says this is his favorite teammate ever. Like, this is his favorite player to watch ever, is what he says. And now we can have the discussion about whether he's the best teammate LeBron James has ever had. And I will insult Mike Ryan there.
Well, he's not.
No, because he's going to be teammates with Steph Curry soon.
Right.
Or on the Knicks. We're going to have that conversation too, aren't we?
Everyone that is plugged into league circles think that this is basically the move before the move, and signs are pointing to LeBron going to Golden State. And it appears that Jimmy Butler's also playing ball with that by saying, I'm not going to sign an extension with Golden State, as he's apparently just willing to sign an extension with Phoenix.
His best teammate ever is obviously Bronny, but we could talk about second best.
Right. Dallas should have pushed it. They should have said, we want Bronny back.
Indulge me for a second as I ask you this question, because why does it have to just
that question.
Why does it have to just be Lakers? If we're all assuming you could have done better than just Anthony Davis and a first-round pick, when Paul George goes for however many first-round picks. What was it, 6 first-round picks? Is it possible that because you know that the moment Luka knows that you're doing this, that you're robbing him of $100 million? He can no longer get the Supermax. Nico Harrison was in front of people saying yesterday he probably doesn't want to talk to me because he was just cost $100 million by a franchise. When it comes to loyalty in sports, and Kevin Durant was saying this yesterday, he was saying, man, you guys require it of us, but when it comes to the teams, that's cold. Like that guy had a relationship with that team, and you blindside him in the age of power and you take $100 million from him. So indulge me. He can't have the information guys knowing this. He cannot have people knowing that Luka is available a year and a half out, because then the dealing will start right then for how it is that Miami gets into the mix and all the other suitors get into the mix. And then it becomes a business decision that Luka is making instead of one that Dallas is making. And there is the fight. Like, there's the fight of 15 years of this stuff where the player power, they just stripped him of it at the end. He had a relationship. Oh, you're not going to do Dame Lillard to us? We're not going to wait for you to become a free agent or fat, and we're not going to let you make a mess of this. There has to be some logical reason why Nico Harrison would choose this route, because if there isn't, it's malpractice.
Well, he said defense wins championships.
Yep.
That was part of his reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see how. Well, no, I can't. They're not better without Luka, but like, they're not a bad team.
They made it to the finals last
year. They're
right.
like, even with this trade, like I like their whole plan of, hey, let's just get LeBron's co-stars maybe a couple of years after their prime and see what kind of run that we can go on. But Dallas is still going to be competitive.
But offensively, they've gotten worse.
No doubt. They just lost Luka Doncic.
They made it to the finals because Luka Doncic was really good.
Okay, but one of the things that exasperates me, you guys tell me if you guys have been thinking or hearing about this at all. Because I get enticed and delighted by the idea of LeBron and Luka playing together as well. Worst defensive team in the league as soon as he steps on the court. Mm-hmm. Without Anthony Davis? Are you kidding me? Are you like, they're talking about Vucevic's and Jerkic's and Valanciunas, and what they need to get is Robert Williams, because that is going to be with JJ Redick as coach. Like, Caruso's not there anymore. They don't have an ability to guard anybody, and now they just added the worst defensive player in the league. Nobody cares about this because it's just stars, noise, intrigue, fishy, malpractice. But here is Charles Barkley, and I happen to agree with him. If Anthony Davis plays, he's really good, and he's somebody that's going to make he'll make the Mavericks better than the Rockets.
OKC, they're my favorite to win this thing, but man, the Dallas Mavericks, they might have just became the second best team in the Western Conference because the jury is still out. I think Denver needs to make a trade because they need to get some bench help. The Rockets are so young. I'm not going to take the Rockets beating the Mavs in a 7-game series. The Memphis Grizzlies, I like their team, but man, Dallas, this is going to be a very fun thing to.
He's the only one saying that, right?
I think so, yeah, that Dallas, he's not saying they got the better end of the trade, but for the immediate future, he's saying Dallas has a legitimate shot of getting back to the NBA Finals.
It really can't be Nico Harrison's an idiot, right?
Sure it can.
Well, it can be.
Why not?
I mean,
why can't it be?
Can it be, what does he know about Luka that we don't?
You've never.
I know that's the weight stuff, and there are reports, but it doesn't make sense. There's got to be more that they know about Luka.
That's what I was saying before. Ask yourself why this guy who knows he's going to be ridiculed today and the entire week, right? Put his job on the line, essentially, his reputation. Why would he want to trade Luka Doncic? Think about that.
You've never seen new leadership and known right away that they're making bad decisions and the entire country's going to fall apart? I mean, the league.
Okay, so I will have this conversation with Jessica and Mike because I just don't get to believe in the modern age that the internet gets to be right. Howling in unison on a single thing, united on a single thing.
It's not the internet.
Not, yeah, it's like Zach Lowe. It's like all the NBA reporters.
No, but I'm just saying the internet. I'm saying
consensus can be right a majority of the
time. I'm not just reading like NBA meme reactions, Dan.
This is not Legion Hoops here.
I'm saying
NBA Centel.
Everybody. I'm saying everybody. When I say the internet, I mean all of us. That's what I mean. We
usually when it's like that overwhelming, I haven't done the breakdown on majority consensus. But usually, if in a time where it's hard to get consensus, usually that majority is right.
Okay, so if that's the case, you were the only person in the world saying Wemby was going to be a bust. There was consensus on the other side of basketball from the internet yelling at you that Wemby was not going to be a bust. And you were relying on he's going to break. And now De'Aaron Fox is going to be better than he's ever been.
Yeah, but I was also saying Wemby's unfair. So I staked out every take.
Okay.
And he is super unfair. Yep. And he's ruined the league. And we all know this now.
Who are the players, Stugotz, that Dallas could have called? And they're untouchable. The answer's no. You go to Denver, the answer's no.
Minnesota probably. Do you think Minnesota says Anthony Edwards? Yeah.
They've got ownership.
They say no.
They've got ownership issues as well. They say no, you think?
I think they stay with Edwards, yes.
Okay, because Anthony Edwards, offensively, Anthony Edwards is not as good a player as Luka is. Like, that's not.
He's there every night, though. I mean, he is. He plays every night.
Okay.
Guy loves basketball. Guy's in shape.
Okay, but Minnesota fell back now that they don't have Cat anymore, and he's got to take a bunch of threes, and he's pretty unhappy there as he sees them slide behind the others. So I'm saying that maybe it's Giannis. Maybe Giannis, but I'm really not sure.
Oh, I think the Bucks say no.
You would have
Who says no? Man, I've been waiting for this game for 20 years.
Well, but Stugotz, everybody was playing it this weekend.
I know. I think San Antonio says no, obviously, right?
But my point is the bidding war is between 27 teams. What do you want? Yes, of course, we got a shortcut to the finals if we have one guy.
You were saying that you have to do this in the shadows because you don't want it to be known, because then if it's known by Luka, he gets to exact power over the situation. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. He has to play for another full season after this for that team. So his threat of, I'm not going to extend with you, okay, if I'm a contender, I do that right now, especially say this is a scenario in which Los Angeles keeps LeBron James. He's 40 years old. I got basically a one-season window to make this work. It's only going to cost me Anthony Davis and a first-round pick. I imagine if you sound the klaxon and let everybody know, you're probably doing your franchise a disservice by keeping this as covert as you did and only reaching out to reportedly 2 teams.
Can you tell me more about the klaxon, please, and the sounding of the klaxon? Because I'm not familiar with this as an instrument. It's the first I'm hearing of it.
He was an old guard for the Warriors.
The thing that I'm asking you, because, okay, I'll grant you, consensus is totally right. Nico Harrison is just a fool. He doesn't know how to do his job. He just bumbled and accidentally traded an asset. The job is to get maximum value for the job. The job is to get maximum value out of your assets.
According to Charles, he did.
Okay, so
here's what I'm talking about consensus. It's easy. Like, they're going to be outliers, and they're going to be far more memorable because you're going to be able to say, well, everyone thought so-and-so was going to be a bust, but it ended up being a good pick. And I remember it because it was against the odds. If you've ever played in a fantasy league, and you add a new member, and everyone knows this guy's a sucker, he's going to make terrible trades, that person usually sucks in your fantasy league. I'm telling you, it hits like 99% of the time. You know the sucker in your fantasy league the second he makes his first move.
Okay, and so my question to you is, what would make this person whose job it is the top of a sports organization to maximize asset value call only one person to not create a leveraging negotiation in any way? What would be such a strong power that would make this person risk the foolishness of this and just the incompetence of it becoming public, where we all can see that is not the correct way to do that, if not for he's out there as a mask for the organization on whatever it is here that is worse than we know, which is every basketball person I've reached out to this weekend, and a lot of them who know things, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. There's something else going on here. Like, there has to be something else before the explanation and after the explanation. What would be the explanation for why Nico Harrison would do this? Because I think you have to keep it quiet becomes such a strong impulse that it's the only way we get to the shock and awe of, wait a minute, in the information age, you just surprised us with a monster where we're questioning Shams' credibility.
I mean, it's possible that there's stuff that hasn't been reported yet, but I don't think we can jump to those conclusions without knowing any of that. All we have right now is his explanation for it and a lot of the analysis on it, which, yeah, Anthony Davis is a better player than I think people are giving him credit for, and he's played a lot more games than I think he's getting credit for over the last 3 seasons. But and Luka Doncic is obviously an amazing top 5 player in the league, but it still doesn't really make a lot of sense that it happened now and in this way.
I do believe Anthony Davis is getting slandered here and has been for a while, and it's because of the reason you guys say, which is that 7-foot body doesn't hold up. It starts to break all over the place. Be tougher, be stronger. Luka doesn't play that much either. and he's 25, and the out of shape thing, right? We're at the point that we all understand that James Harden gets in and out of shape however it is that he feels, if he's feeling the joy of an employer, right? Pay me my maximum money, make me comfortable. I'm guessing that Luka was very comfortable in Dallas.
Of course he was comfortable in Dallas. He never had to play, and no one said anything. I mean,
can I
and
ask,
James Harden having a pretty good year, by the way.
Yes.
I mean,
can I ask you guys this about, I don't think people care about the humanity in this, but picking up Luka's life overnight on a weekend when he's got a relationship with a city, when he's from another country, when he came here as a teenager and that city embraced him, and it's what he knows of America embracing him and he likes it there. In the middle of the night, to snatch him out of that and surprise him and to not know it's coming from an employer or anywhere else, you would understand why that would wound someone. No, and be discombobulating for whatever the next few weeks of his life are going to be.
Yes, no matter the amount of money that they have, I understand it. He's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. They have their transition plan. He's one of the biggest stars in the league, and he's going to a marquee franchise. I guess he was like, "Damn, that hurt. Where I'm going? Where? All right, sweet.
all right, LeBron.
All right,
Yeah.
I get to be more marketable in Los Angeles than I could ever be as a Dallas Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the face of the league over here. I may actually hop on that treadmill now."
Dan, are you trying to take us to a place, because you seem to be confused as to why this happened, how it could happen so silently. Are you headed down a place where the NBA forced a trade? Adam Silver.
Oh, no.
You're talking about the powers that could make this happen. Maybe they wanted Luka in L.A., 25-year-old Luka Doncic in L.A. with LeBron James, and the Lakers are relevant for the next 15 years. You're going to throw me out?
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
I'm good. You're good. We're good.
I think I need to make you good on that one because, no.
I'm reckless to begin with.
I'm not going to do that. And this is a big sloppy week for Stugotz, and we've gotten it off to the wrong start, I got to be honest, because God Bless Football is the number one it's the number one football podcast in America.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it's headed to the Super Bowl. Billy Gill has a stomach ailment. Bad time for a stomach ailment.
The worst.
Yeah, and everyone, I see suitcases and there's rain outside and people are like, our company is now in full force headed to the Super Bowl. Stugotz is going to head out shortly.
Yeah.
You say it's a bad time. Most people would ask, is there ever a good time for a stomach virus? But if there is, I'd say couple days before I gorge on Super Bowl food.
Right.
It's actually probably a pretty good time. Clear out your system.
Get
Let's
it
get
out.
a nice little base layer.
Yeah.
I have 7 days to recover before I just shock my system with garbage.
Does he have norovirus?
I have no idea.
It's going around.
Billy ill.
This is not a good time for any of this. Yes, we think Billy. I think that's just a HIPAA violation. I think we've just, regardless, he's hurting right now and he's trying to get to the Super Bowl. And this gets in the way. You
with
guys,
a toilet bowl.
Play on.
You guys would agree with me that there are very few stories in sports that would have these many elements, that it has to happen in basketball. It has to be the transaction. It has to involve stars. It has to have fishiness and malpractice in it for it to be something that knocks the Super Bowl out of the way. And shocking sports fans and Stugotz. This part, to me it matters. Mm-hmm. Do you know how hard it is to shock us in the information age with information? Like, do you know how hard it is for something like this not to be rumored, talked about, in any way whispered in any corner where there is power?
It came out of nowhere.
God, it was
like I woke up that morning, I was stunned by it.
It was like crack being able to break that news to people. Oh, dude.
Right.
Oh, it was the
Who
best.
didn't know yet? Yeah.
It was the best.
You're like the newsroom meme. You're like, I delivered the news. They're like, Mike, we're drunk. We don't care.
I was shocked because it happened very late at night, but I was still awake. And then I woke up the next morning, did my routine, took my supplements, drank my coffee, and then I opened up the internet. And then 15 minutes after I woke up, I was reminded that it wasn't a fever dream, that it actually happened, and I got to relive it all over again. And as people on the West Coast were waking up, I got to deliver the news again. God, what a day.
They were awake, though, when it happened. That was what frustrated me. I woke up at like 6 a.m. Sunday morning, and Lehman was already halfway to his fishing trip in the Keys. And he's like, wake up, the craziest NBA trade of all time just happened. And I was like,
this was a wake up. This was a wake up.
He made me call him from the car so he could talk about it. And I was like, That's crazy. And he was just like blabbering on and
This
on.
was a wake up.
yeah.
How often are there wake up calls? There's been a trade in your life.
This is probably the first one. I mean, normally they happen when I'm awake. Not this one.
I bet you Stugotz talked to Abby about it.
I did.
Yeah. I did. I told my wife, too. I'm like, hold up. You're not going to believe what happened. She doesn't understand any of the
Cynthia
players.
she didn't care at all.
They didn't really care, but it's just like, you don't understand.
Chris?
I wish you did so I can contextualize how massive this is.
What was your experience with this, Chris? Did you wake up groggy? Did you smell of beer? Did you learn the news?
Well, that's every morning.
I, like Mike, woke up in the morning, and I had seen it late at night, but I was like, I had this like foggy feeling of like, that was a dream? That happened? That actually happened. And I went back to Twitter. I was like, holy because it felt like a dream trade. Like what? Like that? Wait, no way that.
I'll
Luka's
tell you what
for
happened to
Anthony
me.
Davis.
I will tell you. I grabbed the iPad and I'm headed to the bathroom, groggy at whatever hour it is. And when I come upon the story, it's there on ESPN. I look at it and I'm like, the internet's fooling me again. And I close my laptop because when those lights get in my eyes, it'll keep me up. And I just went back to sleep saying, this is clearly fake. I'm not going to fool for this, nor am I going to adjust my eyesight enough to even go on the check to see if other people are talking about this. I'm going to see if I can get back to sleep.
The iPad has replaced the newspaper as the thing you bring into the bathroom, huh?
Put it on the poll
Wow.
at Le Batard Show. Has the iPad replaced the newspaper as the thing you bring into the bathroom?
It's a sad day.
How does that work? Do you like rest it on your thighs?
I wasn't sitting down. I was just walking and checking in with the internet on my way to the bathroom.
Like holding a giant iPad in front of your face?
Yeah, just
Like a morning pape.
But when you do sit down, do you bring the iPad with you, like
No.
for a read?
No. Why the toilet talk? Why?
Well, I'm just wondering because that's interesting to me. It used to be the newspaper, and now I'm guessing it's been replaced by the iPad.
But this was 2:00 in the morning.
You shit with the iPad.
Well, we all, Dan. I do. I shit with my phone. It's fine.
I shit with my phone all the time.
I know it's nothing. You're not proud to admit it, but it's a safe space.
It's the best phone time. It
all
really is.
All of a sudden, your knees are asleep.
You guys have kids, and you have to sometimes hide from your kids in order to
salvation.
use the iPad.
He's still denying it, Mike. Yeah.
I don't understand this. It has nothing to do with kids. And reading your phone and being on that toilet for 20 minutes.
Glorious.
It is,
Yeah.
quite honestly, the best of times.
I disagree. I don't like it in there. I don't. Like, it's not for
Elbows
me.
on the knees.
No, I
Everyone
don't.
loves their own brand a little bit. Look in,
Elbows
see
on
how
the
you're
knees.
doing.
Are you okay?
You guys don't sit like this.
Now, sometimes I do.
Roy,
I
did
do,
you
and then I fix
did
my
you
own posture.
care?
Sometimes just right elbow, sometimes just left.
Roy, did you care at all in any way about any of this?
Yeah, I was at church when I found out, and I said, holy, and people heard me and looked at me while in church. So,
In church?
yeah, it was that big of a deal.
Wow, so you woke up and went all the way to church and you like didn't get any notifications on your phone.
No.
That's shocking in this day and age.
No, I try to limit my notifications.
Now
on-
I feel like
for you,
you're
Roy.
lying and you just wanted to get the holy joke off. And I
I'm
feel
not
like you
lying.
did see it before church.
I
You're
did not
literally
see
on
it.
Twitter
It was
right
still
now.
a good joke.
I mean,
either way.
I have a laptop. This was on my phone. Right, so
So what's happening right now, Roy, is the general disbelief. The entire room does not believe that you could be off the devices for a couple of
I'm writing
hours.
this down. What time is church?
8:30.
All right.
Okay.
I can
Okay,
see.
doable.
I can see
Yeah.
it.
If it was 10 a.m., you are a liar, my friend.
Yeah, 8:30. That's
I'll give it to you.
Early
8:30.
church.
Yeah. What time did you wake up?
Around 7.
Okay. Yeah. No, this makes
I'll
sense.
give it to you. All right.
Yeah, you gotta get
plausible.
that.
Now
Yeah.
it's like a
Got
whole
Princess
hour
Claire.
that you probably might have like just get a little check, see the push
no.
Do
notification.
you
Yeah, I
do you
get-
poop in the morning?
Let's see if you tweeted between 7 and
You
8
always
a.m.
poop in the
Try.
morning?
Every morning.
And you don't check your phone?
Not really.
Well,
no.
you have a
I'm
green
trying to get up
text.
out of there, man.
You have a green
Right,
text. Joy,
right.
That has
does
nothing to do with
track.
it.
You're in a
You
rush.
know what? That
Yeah.
kind of helps.
No, it does?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah,
Well, the
I wouldn't
phone
check
slows
your
it
phone.
down.
Yeah, I wouldn't check my phone if I had to try.
Okay.
So holy in the church, you exclaimed it, and what happened?
I got glaring looks at what are you doing cursing at church?
So what?
Did you explain like Luka got traded, and then they were like, oh, "Okay, yeah, no, peace be with you."
No, I was in the middle of pastor talking, so I can't do it.
Princess Claire was there?
No, she was in the kids section, so she didn't hear me.
The
curse.
kids
I'm
section.
not really sure I know what to do with you not checking your phone during toilet time, but checking your phone in the middle of a sermon.
It happens sometimes, you know.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes,
It
say the same
well,
thing
but-
over
but
and
it
over.
se- it
Yeah,
seems like
same message. Yep.
It seems like near the confessional booth, shouting "Holy shit" in church would also be something that would qualify as something akin to sin, would it not?
But I guess, that's a Catholic thing, isn't it? Like, I don't know how that works.
What
so.
is?
The
Communion?
confessional?
Oh,
Confessional.
confession.
He
yeah.
said confessional.
But forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I checked my phone during the sermon and not when I was pooping.
How does that work, though? Aren't you already saved? Like, all your sins have already been forgiven after you accept the deity of Christ?
Yeah, after the whole baptism thing. Yeah.
So then you're good.
Yeah. I get asked for forgiveness every now and then, but yeah, I guess
But
I'm good.
Baptism's
why
for
do we-
original sin, I thought.
Okay, so
It depends on the religion.
Yeah. What, Pentecostal?
I'm just trying to learn here.
Are you saying the priest mailed it in, Roy, with the sermon yesterday? Did he mail it in?
I'm not saying that it was mailed in. I'm just saying,
Seems
I
like it
forgot to
was.
check my phone, so I looked at it and said, "Oh,
You were bored at church and distracted.
yeah, it happens sometimes." You hear the same thing over and over every other week. That's what happens.
I wanted to make an amen joke, but I don't know how the Thompson kid in Houston pronounces it.
It's amen, isn't it?
I wish I watched the sport enough to get that joke.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Let me entertain something that I had not considered, which is Jessica saying, no, she loves the Pro Bowl. She's down here for 73-65 or whatever that was yesterday, and put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are you a fan of the Pro Bowl? I was of the opinion that when you're watching so many people not trying, that's not what people want today with their sport. So it can be fun, but I may be missing the mark on that one because I just assumed that the exhibition, we don't have the attention span anymore for games that don't have stakes. That unless you turn it into a giant party, a giant entertainment vehicle,
right.
We don't have the attention span anymore to sit around a television watching your exhibition games.
It's not just the game, though. It's like all the different events. Like, they've made it very silly and they're not taking it as seriously now. And I think it works because I think you're getting to see a lot of players' personalities. It's like, I said earlier, it's like my Buccaneers friends are hanging out with my 49ers friends. Like, that's so cute. Everyone's having such a good time together.
It's not sexy for a podcast, but can't it just be fine? It's fine. Right. It's good background television. You throw it on a Sunday.
We don't have to talk about it.
Do some errands around the house. It's on there.
I'm
Peyton and Eli are being, you're going to lose. No, you're going to lose. Come on, it's fun.
I like that we're not complaining about it anymore. So I guess
Well,
it's
Dan just kind of.
Well, no, it's an upgrade over what we had before because we're
Dan
not
tried to
complaining.
cancel it like 20 minutes
Well,
ago.
I just canceled all exhibitions. I just thought we'd gone. Look, the NBA's got a problem with its exhibition because it was such a sacred thing once upon a time. And now this is something that I want to actually talk about, Stugotz, because Anthony Davis's reputation historically, him playing in this age, winning only one championship as kind of like a freak of nature, right on the cusp of, whoa, the sport changed right there. Guys that big shouldn't be able to play like that. Mm-hmm. For him to get dragged as less than, as you have to make an argument for why he's not overrated, whether the opinion of him, he's unreliable, he's not available, not tough enough, whatever. I'm tired of seeing some games where that guy goes 2 for 7 and I don't understand it. We're living in the age of the curmudgeon is shouting down from on high with the last of his or her media embers, usually his, shouting at sports. This guy's less than, I got to stay ahead of the internet. I got to stay ahead of people being cruel. I got to be funnier. And so Anthony Davis has maybe not a legendary career, but a Hall of Fame one, and will be viewed as less than, not just in this trade, but paling compared to LeBron. Gave him a fountain of youth, got LeBron to 40.
Right, but that's on Anthony Davis because everyone can clearly see the talent. But it's on Anthony Davis as to why he will not be remembered in that regard.
Okay, but he
never plays.
His body. It's not that he never plays, Stugotz. That's not fair, but I understand what you're doing, and you too are curmudgeon because during the break, it all leads me to this. Stugotz muttered under his breath.
I know what he's doing. He stopped watching around the same time I did.
No.
Apparently he's playing now.
It's
wild. No, he plays more now.
He played 76 games last year.
The better way of saying is for now. Okay, he's playing now. For now, he is playing, but shortly he will not be playing.
But we're not alone. The
Okay.
entire internet also stopped watching the same
No,
exact
the
time.
last-
we stopped
the
watching.
last-
Also, it doesn't help that he didn't play Saturday night against the Knicks, but that was more of an anomaly recently.
While LeBron James is getting a triple-double in Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
to Stugotz's beloved Knicks, who play unevenly at home sometimes in games like that one.
Yeah.
Stugotz, during the break, because the curmudgeons still have the microphones. They have a death grip on the microphones. Stugotz, during the break, actually said, this, spit it under his breath, wish I had it in the first segment. Not lying about any of this. Big nothing trade.
I mean, it is.
Big nothing trade between two teams that aren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want him, and the Knicks don't want him. I wouldn't want any of those players. And then he called Luka a big fat person.
I mean, it's a team that's 28-19 in the Lakers. It's a team in Dallas that's not actually a little bit worse. They're 26-24, whatever. They're on the outside looking in terms of the playoffs. This is a nothing trade. It's big names. I understand why it's news. It's a nothing trade. The Lakers are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. The Mavericks are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. In fact, I would tell you the bigger trade made yesterday in the NBA was the one that got the Spurs, De'Aaron Fox. You want to know why? That team might win all the championships soon. Every one of them.
That's not a terrible point, but not this year's. We're talking about now.
You can't make a really bad point and then make a good point, and we forget the really bad point.
Doing it in my entire life. I mean,
I will not stand for this.
Jessica just unlocked the code right in front of everybody. You undid the Rubik's Cube and showed them. Yes, that's exactly. He tried to distract us at the end with a moderately less bad take.
Prestige.
this is not a trade that lands you Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is not getting Moses Malone if you're Dr. J and the Sixers, the missing piece, and then they went faux. This is not that.
Right.
This is a trade again with two middling teams and two superstars who barely play.
Roy, can you help me with something, please? Because
Nothing.
I believe that in 2025, I'm not sure about this. I asked genuinely. I think faux has been canceled. That Stugotz is not allowed to say that.
Yeah, you can't say
anymore.
that.
I barely watched, but I'm pretty sure I saw those Mavericks in the finals last year.
You did. You won't see him again this year.
Okay.
I mean,
That's why it's a big trade.
And they're
it's a
only
bad trade,
and
nothing.
they're only 26 and 24 because Luka hasn't played with a calf strain over the last. Like they're really good when he and Kyrie are out there, and it'll be fun if LeBron is out there with him. Because I want to examine this part. Did LeBron really not know? That's not possible, right? It's simply
McMenamin reported that they called LeBron shortly after because LeBron's agent is Rich Paul, and that's Anthony Davis's agent. So
No, apparently he found out while he was at dinner. Sure.
By the way, it's faux, not faux. Like Stugotz said, there was only 3 faux back then.
They didn't say dinner which night.
It's also being reported that Rich Paul knew 48 hours before. So we're if we're believing, so he just didn't tell LeBron.
But so that one's interesting, right? Like, good God, this is funny and wild.
okay, I don't believe it whatsoever.
I mean, come on, guys.
No,
Shams got out there with the report that LeBron didn't know too. So I mean,
he has to not know.
in sports history,
correct.
has anyone ever acted more surprised than LeBron
All right,
James?
so look.
It's been like 5 or 6
right,
times
so
now where he
just-
knows what's going to
All right,
happen.
so Stugotz,
it's always in a restaurant.
This part is the greatest part, where all the places where there's the fishy and you've got the oldest player in the league on the franchise that matters most in the league still has power at the end somehow. Listen to this, because this labyrinth of conflicts is pretty damn fascinating, and I probably don't need to tell you where it is that Rich Paul is going to err, on whose side Rich Paul is going to err as they take Anthony Davis from here to make LeBron better, and now they send him off to make LeBron better because LeBron made Rich Paul, and they created a company together, and it's the business of LeBron and Anthony Davis, friend, but employee. LeBron James and Rich Paul run that business that is looking for investors overseas for $5 billion to create a competitive league and wants to run Hollywood. Rich Paul governs the business of LeBron James in Hollywood, and in Hollywood, where make-believe gets painted into a real sweet mirage, he'll have you believe that LeBron James didn't know anything because that sits best with his friend Anthony Davis. But his responsibility as his agent is to Anthony Davis. I don't know how they do those machinations in terms of in-house nobility where you put this assignment over here so it doesn't conflict with LeBron. But that whole business is LeBron, and it's run through conflict. Like, you can't have Anthony Davis working for LeBron James, and then LeBron James is going to pretend at the end that, oh, I got Luka Doncic, my least favorite player, because it's not actually me running the Lakers as I giggle on the sidelines, because the buses know they've got a small family business, and I'm the economy the way Kobe was the economy.
Should be noted that the NBA has looked into LeBron's financial investment, if there is any, with that agency. There isn't, because plenty of teams have been like, is this allowed? There's so many conflicts.
It's so great. It's so great the way that they could just do the business of the NBA. Like, they learned all the things in the last 10 years on how you guys are yelling at Riley out the door. And look at how LeBron.
I'm so pissed at him.
No, but
I'm more pissed at him after the Luka trade than I ever was with the Jimmy stuff.
Mm-hmm. The Jimmy stuff got.
How are they not calling us?
The Jimmy stuff got buried this weekend.
Thankfully.
Yes, I know. People want it buried. People are so tired of it. It is so funny. It is so funny, Stugotz, to watch how in love we are with the transaction right until we get tired of the transaction. Because I'll tell you, I got a clock in my head on this show. We're about 45 minutes from it here before it turns on us. And enough about Luka. Enough.
It took me 20.
No, but they want. No, it took you. No, you're saying it's a nothing trade.
Yeah. After I talked to my wife about the trade, I realized it's a nothing trade. What am I talking to her about it for? I'm talking to her about nothing. We have to have better things to talk about, me and my wife, than Luka Doncic.
This Doncic. This is why This is why though you're a curmudgeon.
Well, why don't you talk about the Spurs trade then? What did you tell
your
your wife about the Spurs?
What did you think?
I said, watch out. I said the Spurs are the team. I said, over the next 10 years, if I had to bet who's going to win the most titles, I'd go San Antonio. My wife agreed.
Any
How about
opinions
that?
on JT Miller to the Rangers?
I don't know who that is.
What about the Bulls haul for Zach LaVine?
You know, that's where, I'll tell you what. When you go to Sacramento, that's where your career dies. I'm serious. Zach LaVine, if he thought it was bad in Chicago, wait until he gets to Sacramento.
Ask Harrison Barnes.
And now De'Aaron Fox has more life. Harrison Barnes on San Antonio, though. I mean, he's going to win a bunch of titles coming up here. Seriously. That's a good team, Dan. Watch out for the Spurs.
Try Luka's name again.
Doncic.
I think this is a tomato thing.
Is it amen or amen? Do you guys say amen or amen?
It's amen.
I don't know who that is.
Do you say amen or amen?
You're supposed to say with your spirit.
You don't know Amen Thompson?
At church.
I haven't gone to church in a while.
Amen Corner.
He was the guy that tossed Tyler Hero, wasn't it?
It's my church.
Yes.
If you say so.
This story, Stugotz, is interesting for a number of different reasons, but you are saying he's not Moses Malone.
No.
And so you're reciting a number of different names at me that are historic, but you understand if this person stays healthy and continues to play like this in his prime,
right,
for the next 10 years, he will become, by all of the advanced metrics, one of the top 5 offensive players in the history of the sport. When LeBron James gives you the praise of that's the player that I most like as a savant, that's the player I most like to watch because he's so offensively ruthless and knows the game so well and all the angles, that player is never available by trade, never blindsided by that trade. 25 years old. It's crazy for all. Do you know how hard it is to shock? It's not even just the silence that it was never whispered.
Right.
Do you know how hard it is to shock all sports fans? Like, it's just like across sports.
In this day and age, it's nearly impossible.
Yes. Across all sports, where what you're latching onto isn't just celebrity, isn't just stardom regionally or nationally or even internationally. It's Anybody who cares about sports, all of a sudden you're talking to your wife who you know doesn't care about sports, and you're telling her about De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio because you've gotten carried away because it feels like love.
We haven't even talked about Mavericks fans. They're so upset right now, and there's got to be so many Cowboys Mavericks fans that are just like, this has been the worst year of my life.
Oh, but the tweets are like, well, on the other hand, your favorite basketball team just got Luka Doncic if you're a Cowboys fan.
Oh.
I love the idea that Stugotz and Jessica were rustled from sleep. Like Lehman demanding that you give him a vine, that Lehman demanding to do a sports talk radio show for you when you don't want to be woken by him on this. I don't think I don't know how hard it is for you to get back to sleep. I would not want a phone call that wakes me not with this news.
He was like, "Can I call you on my drive?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not going to talk." So he just talked to me while I just laid there with my eyes closed. It's like I am genuinely interested and excited by this. This has been a tremendous weekend for basketball, but it was not the time and place.
Is it just because he wanted to do a sports radio show? He just needed to be heard.
He needed an outlet, man.
Yeah, he needed to talk to somebody at that hour.
And he knows I can't do more Knicks talk. I've done, oh my God, so much.
Well,
Knicks
but
talk.
this is the funny thing. Listen to this. So how crazy is this at the top of this business? So Leon Rose, who used to be LeBron's agent, now runs the Knicks. Doesn't need to meet with the media. He's powerful, and they've created a great thing. Mm-hmm. But Bridges doesn't quite fit there. It's hard to be Bosch. Like Bridges doesn't
How
quite.
many first-round picks did he net, by the way? 5? Bridges got 5?
I think it was something like that. I think 3 maybe.
He makes the math of what I'm about to say difficult because he's owed $26 million next year.
He's been fine.
But no, well, the conversation I wanted to have with you, which sports fans now, because this part becomes titillating, Stugotz, during Super Bowl week, basketball can keep the storyline this week. Basketball can knock the Super Bowl out of the way again. What's LeBron doing? Like, what he I know what's being reported, and I know that his contract says that he's got the choice on being a free agent next year or not, but he just got his kid employed by the Lakers, and he's got a good relationship with that organization. But his former agent, Leon Rose, in New York, I don't know whether you want him or not, but New York is talking about the idea of, well, if Bridges isn't our third best player, but LeBron, the smartest ever, decides he wants to be something that runs with Cat and Brunson, isn't that interesting to New York? Like, just when you get, this is what baseball used to be. Like, this basketball has given us this over the last 15 years. Well, now every team can dream because all the players might be available this weekend if the top of the power structure is changing.
That is something that would interest New York. Certainly getting LeBron James. By the way, Mike, it was 4 first-round picks for Bridges. So, listen, you have every right to question what it is the Mavericks did in not getting enough for Luka. You do. You have every right to question that when you consider that 4 first-round picks were given to get Mikal Bridges. 5
for Gobert.
Yes.
But this wasn't about draft picks.
But they got a superstar back.
It was 5 first-round picks and a first-round pick swap.
Okay.
All right. So regardless, look, the draft picks became an important thing. Is that a fine for Stugotz reading the internet wrong? Is that a fine?
Yeah.
Is that a Venmo fine?
I had 25, 27, 29, 31. I missed the pick swap. Also, I missed a Bogdanovich.
Oh, I loved that somebody was checking in on Bogdanovich. Like, that's what I thought the trade deadline was going to be. I read
That's what it usually is.
Yes, that's usually what it is. But I'm asking you guys now next steps on this, right? Because basketball can keep a portion of this week, even with football, because of how much we love this stuff. And it's just the talk, but whatever. I didn't think we'd be there. LeBron, next moves. We're all assuming that he's handing the team over to Luka for the next 10 years, is going to gracefully go out in Los Angeles. Correct, but now Golden State is out on Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler says he doesn't want to go there. If you think that LeBron and Steph aren't going to compete for championships until the very end at the top of the business, like the game now is you've got to go get Steph help. Golden State, you had all the advantages. You've got a tax advantage. You got all that real estate there. You're worth one of the most valuable franchises in sport. You got to keep Steph Curry fed there at the end so that he can keep competing with LeBron, right? And they tried to trade, reportedly. Talked about it a few weeks ago. Now what happens to Steph when the competition is for dollars and players and LeBron is playing with a business? LeBron is playing with a conflict of interest business where he can move the parts easier than Steph can.
It seems like this whole thing actually is fascinating, those two at the very end here, because you either have to get the right pieces for Steph or allow Steph to go somewhere where the right pieces already exist. And in LeBron's case, I will tell you this, Dan. If indeed this is Luka's team, next 10 to 15 years, LeBron's going to go out with grace. Going to the Knicks, if they don't win a title this year, because he's chasing Jordan. We all know he's chasing Jordan. If he goes to that franchise and wins them their first NBA title, he's a big reason. He's a big part as to the why. I'm telling you, that would get me a lot closer to telling you that LeBron It would get me closer.
What?
These are a bunch of big ifs, Dan. It would get me
No,
there,
no,
but it would get me closer.
It doesn't mean
It'd
anything.
Be like 1.5 titles.
It doesn't mean anything unless you get there. 1.5 titles.
So he'd be at 5.5. Michael would be at 6.
Okay,
right?
well, that's not giving him anything.
Why are we doing LeBron to the Knicks? The Knicks are good this year. They made a lot of moves and
No.
are so much better than they were last year.
No, but Dan is talking about what these two guys at the end of their career have to be willing to do. You're not going to bring the right pieces in around LeBron. Right? The Lakers aren't winning with LeBron. They're not. So where can LeBron go to win another championship or two? The Knicks would be a good place.
Doncic comes back February 11th, and while you may dismiss what that is offensively, I will not. I think they're going to be terrible defensively, but I think you underestimate what, like, LeBron and Doncic playing what my imagination conjures with a big who can actually play. Because, I mean, Anthony Davis thought he had some power. Last week he was publicly being quoted as saying we need a center and a guard. Like, I was a little bit startled. I'm like, Anthony Davis is in charge now.
They got the guard.
Yeah. So those two guys playing, like, you could question it all you want, but I believe all of us are turn on your television curious. Tell me when that game starts. I want to watch a regular season game. That hasn't happened for that league very much. And it's the power of star power. It's the power of the Lakers. You saw Stugotz. Football just came and took Christmas Day. Netflix is going up again, $18 now. Netflix is going to go up because all this stuff is, they got to get the sports rights and it's going to explode. All this stuff is going to explode.
What else is going up?
Christmas Day got stolen by football, but the game that mattered in basketball was LeBron-Steph. They will not go quietly on the business of this. And I don't know. It's good to talk. It's fun to talk about. People can do the permutation. It doesn't even matter, Stugotz, whether you want LeBron in New York, don't want LeBron in New York. But if I throw that on FAN today as chum,
oh God, 20 shares.
If I throw today LeBron James economy coming to because you get the conflict of, no, we're fine with our team the way it is. We think we can beat Cleveland, even though we can't. Like when we need Mitchell Robinson to do it so that we have the front court advantages we need. No, we cannot beat Cleveland now. We did before. We cannot do that with this present allotment of players. You're going to see a different Karl Anthony Towns when that's the front line that he's against. I'd worry about that if I was New York. And then there's Boston, which last night was bored and just wandered around and then wins by 8 against Philadelphia because they could just win at the end. They could just tighten you up, and then Tyrese Maxey is all of a sudden out there by himself.
I feel bad for Mavs fans.
Do you?
I do.
They made it to the finals.
I know,
last
like,
year.
very passionate Mavs fans that are like, this might be it for me.
What?
I mean, I've seen some of that too. It is a huge bummer because, like, several teams passed on Luka. So you get this person who a lot of, like, draft analysts thought was the best player in that draft. And you have him, and he's 25, and he's already taken you to the finals, and they've made moves around him to make the team better, and now they're just kind of, like, giving up on it. It's just bizarre.
Did you see the photo around the Dirk statue? People are laying down Luka shirts and signs saying, I love you, Luka. It's like he tragically passed away.
Oh, but imagine, wait a minute, guys. Like, we're sitting here talking about Roy's at church, 8:30 in the morning. Wait a minute. Make this something you care about. Make this something you've developed an emotional attachment that feels intimate, that has to do with regional pride. Like, and you wake up in the morning and in terms of sports fandom, like, this hurts. Like, it lands in a way where you guys are talking about shock, and this doesn't affect you guys in any way whatsoever. You guys are just all about the transaction. Every one of you doesn't have an emotional investment in this. You're not actually that interested in the sport or what happens at the end during the championship. You're just interested in, like, oh, my God, a transaction that surprised me.
No, it affected me. I thought Agent Goran was going to get Luka here in 2 years, so now that's another plan that's blown up.
Right. Okay. So yes, that was the plan. The plan, as far as
I love people reporting that. Hey guys,
they want Luka in 2 years.
The Miami Heat might be posturing to get one of the best players in the NBA with cap room. Tell me your source.
I'm wondering, what is a GM's responsibility to an organization in terms of how far to look ahead? I want to play a clip here of Nico Harrison at the press conference talking about timeline. And he's basically just like, 10 years from now, I'm not worried about that. I might not be here. I'm worried about 3 or 4 years. Let's play this clip here.
Well, I think the long term is the time frame. I think he fits our time frame. If you pair him with Kyrie and the rest of the guys, he fits right along with our time frame to win now and win in the future. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future, 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay by then, or we bury ourselves.
Like, Jason Kidd looks so awkward the entire press conference.
Oh, man.
What is it like? Is he right there? Is it okay for a GM to just be like, I'm thinking 4 years ahead and that's it because I might not be here after that?
Mike, who was that?
What, the guy that was not at all shocked? Yeah. I think it was Doug Funny's neighbor.
Hi, Doug. Can I hear the nervous chuckle at the end of that? Because I want you guys to hear what it sounds like when a man is drowning in public and coming up for air, and nothing is funny right now because what he feels is the pressure and 1,000 weights on his neck of everyone's laughing at me. I've got to come out here and defend something that would appear to everybody as indefensible. I'm going to bring Jason Kidd out here. I don't know if you know what my relationship is with Jason Kidd, but you will find out about it when I turn to him for some comfort here, and I do not get it, and I nervously chuckle alone.
10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay by then, or we bury ourselves.
Yes.
He literally, Jason Kidd looks down and shakes his head when he's saying we won't be here.
He won't. He won't. You remember when everyone knew that it was dicey headed into an offseason, letting Shohei Ohtani hit free agency, but everyone kind of understood you don't want to be the GM that trades Shohei Ohtani. This guy's the GM that traded Luka Doncic.
There are any number of bad trades that I want to go through with you guys because in the history of this sport, I'm a little jarred to have everyone assess this one as the worst ever before anything's actually happened. You understand that this is a little startling. When I ask what are the worst ever, and I get Gobert, I get Paul George, because of what Oklahoma City has become when you can become cheap, lock up your guys by getting rid of a Paul George. In baseball, it's Babe Ruth and Miguel Cabrera, correct? Those are the two? We've had one in this market, Miguel Cabrera and Babe Ruth.
His podcast network.
And are you guys in agreement with me on the fact that I can't knock football off the week?
It's nice to have it on a weekend where it's gone, trust me.
But with a transaction, in any of the other sports. There aren't names I can give you from baseball or hockey or anywhere else that will grab all not even hockey. Connor McDavid's been traded.
No, Sidney Crosby's been rumored, but that won't do it because it's hockey.
There's no such thing. This is the birth of the last 15 years.
Maybe Judge. Judge.
I don't think
Lewis
so.
Hamilton,
maybe.
Ferrari.
Maybe.
That was a big one.
I don't think Aaron Judge, man. I don't, but okay.
You're probably right. I'm
There's
just saying.
2 or 3 names in baseball that might steal some attention.
That's not the same. Might steal some attention. Is not what
from the Super Bowl.
Holy church at 8:30, and all of you looking at Roy and saying, "How could you get to that news so late? 8:30 in the morning. You idiot. You fool."
Well, we just know Roy's Twitter.
But that wouldn't happen with Aaron Judge. Holy church should be our new standard.
Yes. If you say holy church, yes.
Not I. If Roy says holy shit out loud in church.
No, but his priorities are all skewed.
Yeah, because then hockey's definitely in play.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes to the Devils.
That's true.
Oh, that's a holy.
That's a holy.
That is a holy.
There's too much.
He wanted you to say holy.
There's too much. He's a bad. Yeah.
I'm a bad example.
Yeah, you can't be trusted here.
I'm sorry.
The point that
Radko Gudas to the Preds. No. I'm just feeling it out. You tell me where the lines are, pal.
I don't want to do this. Thank you, though, for offering it. It's not something that I'd like to do here.
It was an opportunity to say Radko Gudas.
I know. You're going to keep doing it, and I want to dissuade you. You're going to keep doing this until you finally get another holy out of Roy when I don't want one because it's not holy worthy.
Panarin to the Wild.
The bread man.
That is a.
Okay, but that doesn't help me.
I'm sorry.
I know, but
I apologize, Dan.
It's
The
just
bread man.
It's no holy shit.
He's not going to play your game. He's going to give you an honest answer.
My larger point being that if I'm in Dallas today and I care about my sports team and like this is can we talk some about regional prides and regional sports identities? Okay. The Dallas Cowboys have been a laughingstock. Dallas would like to be very good at football. They've been a laughingstock for a while. For however easy you guys think it is to win championships, Mark Cuban and the Mavs winning championships in that market made Dirk Nowitzki, for example, have a relationship with that city unlike any that you will find outside of football. Usually, maybe with a Nolan Ryan type here or there, but that's a bygone age. We're talking about a kid who came to this country, and the people of Dallas feel like they know him a lot better than we do, right? He's guarded in the media, second language makes it tough, but he's become an international superstar, and Dallas feels like it knows him. Dallas gets all those local interviews where he's being cute, sees his rise, sees that he's the same person now that he was when he was 20, and falls in love with somebody who brings them the joy of, holy shit, I'm getting to watch mastery, genius at its youngest age, in its prime. Everyone knows this is the best that sports gets. I have this relationship with this man. I feel like I know him. And in the middle of the night, you've sent him away. Why is that? Or how would that feel any different than your team packing moving trucks in the middle of the night? Like, tell me how it would feel any different. It's the team and it's gone, but it feels like the team just left, even if Anthony Davis is really good. Like, those people wake up in the morning, it's stunned and it hurts. Like, it hurt. It's an emotional thing. It's not often the depths like where the shock that you feel when a player you care about, you learn he's sick or he dies. But in terms of the sports feelings of this is the thing that hurts the most. Like, wait a minute. Oh, this is all business. This isn't about, there ain't anything here for me or loyalty or anything else. When Mike says it would get me out on the sport, yeah, that's Miguel Cabrera being traded was the first of many like that got a lot of people in South Florida out on a sport that they love.
When they made that trade, though, the Marlins with Cabrera, what they got back was Burke Badenhop. I mean, that's the hopper. That's who they got back. I mean, they got Anthony Davis back, and Charles Barkley likes the trade. Like, Mavs fans need to get over it.
They got Andrew Miller and Cameron Maybin, who at least were young prospects.
Yeah.
You at least see the math of, okay, a guy that's leaving, younger, good prospects. This is just like an old guy, you got 2 years with him, and that's it.
Man.
Jessica, please have at it with.
Wait, who's the old guy? I'm lost now.
Anthony Davis is the old guy.
He's 31.
I'm just saying relative to Luka.
But Luka's an old 25. You agree, right? No, he is.
Is Anthony Davis an old 31?
He turns 32 next month,
I think
so that is.
He's a very 32. 31 and 11-month-year-old. He's a very 31 and 11-month-year-old, 31 and 11-month-year-old.
I think he's an old 32-year-old.
He's the oldest 31 that there can be.
I think that it's difficult for you to analyze Anthony Davis if you were unaware of the fact that he's played most of the games he's been in for the last 3 years.
I've watched Anthony Davis his entire life. He's played about half the games. Okay.
They did win a championship. They did win a championship
Guys,
together.
The math
In
is
a bubble.
in the last 4 years.
It would have counted if it was the Heat.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, not for me.
In the last
Been
4
the Heat, of
years,
course. Ankles, okay.
he has played more than 60 games once, and it was last year after Charles and Shaq did a lot of damage to his reputation that hasn't been erased by just hammering him and calling him street clothes. And he is less available, and that would be very frustrating if my body was breaking down. He does seem to care, though. He doesn't seem to be doing what Jimmy Butler is presently doing in terms of not trying.
Unlike Luka?
He seems to always try to get out there, and he gets the reputation. This is a rare thing, okay? This is not a normal thing for a top 15, top 20 player, not top 10 player now, but top 15, top 20 player in terms of skill set that you've ever seen, for that to be less than because somebody's always saying it's soft, mentally weak, body's weak, and this trade is a joke because that's not valuable at 31 because I know it's going to break down.
It is interesting that Damian Lillard wasn't allowed to say, hey, I only want to go to this team, but Jimmy Butler can. I'll shut up. It's Luka's day.
Can we do LeBron to the Heat next?
I've already been there. And Pat's going to be asleep at that wheel,
It's
too.
better than LeBron to the Knicks. I'd rather hear that argument.
When I saw that trade go down, my initial reaction was anger at Pat and also almost certainty that I found out before he did.
I don't like what you're doing to Pat Riley there.
I don't like what he's doing to me. Terry Rozier's still on this roster. And I warned him. I was like, please don't
did.
do this, Pat. The day that he was acquired, I begged on this microphone, do not acquire Terry Rozier, please. He is a bad basketball player and personally my least favorite ever, and he did it anyways. He drew first blood, not me.
Super disrespectful that you have him nodding off and are entitled to old people jokes. I think it's you can have all of those same criticisms without.
He was asleep when the news broke.
Okay.
All
He
he's
was.
done for you, though, man. I mean, come on.
No, he's great. He gets to stay here as long as possible. But we can also be adults here and acknowledge the fact that we all probably found out
later
before
this
he
week.
did.
Later this week.
He was at the early bird special at the Sizzler where Dan used to work or something.
I
And then
love
he went
that
to sleep.
Sizzler. Don't you will not Sizzler shame me.
I'm not.
There will be no Sizzler shaming.
I'm early bird special shaming Pat Riley on behalf of Mike. I have no strong opinions on Pat Riley
You
myself.
shouldn't have any strong opinions
don't.
that are negative on Sizzler. You got to be careful
I
with
don't.
Sizzler.
I have no negative opinions about anything at the moment.
And
It was a
then-
great weekend.
And then I was like, well, maybe this will spring him into action and be like, we'll get the Aaron Fox. And then that window closed.
Right.
Levine.
So they closed
Oh,
simultaneously.
there's a negative
career's
reaction.
dead.
The Bulls. The Bulls are just so bad at this. They're just so bad at this.
There's no way LeBron's going to want to come here.
Can I interest you guys though in the conversation about how it is and why it is that it had to be kept quiet, and the idea that you would neuter yourself in terms of availability of all the league's talent? Because I don't understand why you guys don't bite on this particular conversation where it can just be blanket incompetence. But if you can summon a hypothetical motive for me on what is here that is still untold, whether it's fishy, whatever it is that you want to go with there.
Do you think this trade would have been allowed if people generally thought this Lakers team could win? Because this is worse than the CP3 deal that David Stern blew up in terms of being unfair. Bridges went for 5 first-round picks. I understand Dallas is getting back a Hall of Famer, and he's 31 years old presently, even though he's an old 32.
Mm-hmm. The oldest.
He's the oldest possible 32, even though he's not 32 yet.
Yes, he's the.
But like, I guess you could say, when can you say in a 1-for-1 deal you traded a Hall of Famer, got one back? Well, when one of them's 25, dude, and you got back like one that's like historically. I know the last 3 years when I haven't been watching, he's been all right, but he's always hurt. It doesn't seem fair.
Not always hurt. He is often hurt.
When most people were watching,
okay,
he's always hurt.
that's fine. That is the distinction that we now do
When
in
Mike
sports.
is watching.
No, that's what. But that
Everyone tuned out when the Heat did.
Jessica, the sports fan, is at this point that entitled. Mike speaks on behalf of fan entitlement, where it's like
sports object permanence, where like when he's not watching it, it's not happening.
That's
It
correct.
doesn't exist.
The whole sport
Yes.
is being played in a forest.
Have you not realized, Jessica, at this point that much of this show is funneled through the sheer narcissism of Mike Ryan?
Even play on wood.
And frankly, Jessica, if he had his way, he would be talking a lot more about Panthers hockey right now. That this show, if he actually had his way, he and Roy
Larson won the last chance quality.
and NASCAR, he would be talking about NASCAR too.
sport.
So
So you're saying we're very lucky
I'm not actually
about his restraint.
No, I'm telling you that he and many sports fans, it's not just him, but if you grow fat on early 2000s hurricane football and you follow that up with 2010, 2014 LeBron,
You're spoiled.
you become really entitled to the sports team of my choosing will keep my attention these next 5 minutes, or I'm going to go elsewhere to be with my champion.
That's me, entitled recovering Browns fan.
On to the Panthers.
Me and my charmed life. I had to wait 30 years for my hockey franchise to do something. So spoiled.
You have lived a charmed sports life, Mike.
You don't think so?
I mean, I got
Mike,
to see.
you have.
I got to see the greatest basketball player, arguably ever, play in my Heat uniform, and that was really cool. I really miss Dwayne Wade.
Would LeBron James, Stugotz?
You're the worst.
Would LeBron James
Such a great run.
say right now that Luka is his best teammate ever? Would you say Luka is his best teammate
That's
ever?
his move. Anytime he gets a new teammate.
LeBron's going to say it because he's a liar, but
I'm just saying
Takes one to know one.
He should say it, and they should not play together. He should be traded this week.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Venmo.
Stugotz's weekend observations are around the corner here. I'm very eager to hear those. Stugotz is about to crush it and has been crushing it. God bless football, getting its deserved awards. A multi-time winner as the best football podcast in America. Is it 2 or 3 times you have now won this award? Do you know?
This is the 3rd time in 4 years, Dano.
So just a conqueror, and now he is going to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be a celebration of Stugotz on Radio Row. We're all going to get out of the way so that God Bless Football can shine and be the shining star from Meadowlark Media that it is. But I do want to just go back for a second and ask Roy the question of in church, Princess Claire was not there, and because I want to grade what it means if our show is going to give as one of its highest honors, Roy screamed "Holy church!" As what kind of news is this? Roy said "Holy church!" You said Princess Claire was not there, but your wife was. I'm surprised that this happened in front of your wife. I think she would find this disrespectful to both church and God.
She did.
She wouldn't be happy with that.
She wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, what, did she talk to you about it afterward, or
she did?
Yeah, I mean, of course. But if your child were there, if Princess Claire were there, would you have been able, because this is an important question I'm asking you if we're putting this at the top of the list, would you have been able to control the curse and indeed repress the holy in front of your daughter?
Yes, I would have. I try to control my cursing in front of Claire. I mean, if I don't know that if she's in the room and I actually say it, I apologize. I'm sorry, Claire. That sort of thing. So I try to control that.
Jordan Kyrou has been traded to the Knights.
No.
Okay.
So you're saying that you're more afraid of cursing in front of your child than God?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wish my wife had that feeling.
Celebrini to the Flyers.
Curses like a sailor in front of my daughter.
Celebrini.
Nah, the Flyers aren't good enough yet.
What? Celebrini? As a rookie?
No.
Yes, that's a holy
Wait,
shit.
I got one. I got
Shut
one.
up.
No.
That's a holy shit.
No.
Celebrini?
It's not gonna. No.
Celebrini's
Connor Bedard to the Lightning.
Okay, that I might have to.
Whoa! Wow!
Wow. Celebrini's already better than Bedard.
Yeah.
Stugotz was muttering on the way to the bathroom, and I will say, Stugotz, that you have not fully enmeshed into everything that we are doing here until you have heard the muttered take of Stugotz on the way to his bathroom. That is when you're really in the inner circle. When you get the real Stugotz on the way to the heater, the real Stugotz unfiltered, filtered cigarettes, unfiltered opinions. Jessica said that on your way to the bathroom, you said to her under your breath, still trying to win this argument, not a big trade.
It's not. I mean, it's really not. It's 2 big names. It's 2 teams that are going nowhere. They swap big names.
Going nowhere.
Mike, I know the Mavericks
Western
made it to the.
champion.
I understand that they're not going back. The Lakers are not going to the NBA Finals. Like neither of these teams are going to win in its current form.
I mean, but you could argue that this move may eventually turn into a title-winning move for the Lakers in like short time.
Maybe
because they got the guy to build the team around, and they will move on from LeBron and start building the team around
Stugotz,
Luka.
it's weird that you would be this jaded about this, given the fact that there is nothing that injects a fan base more. I saw it. We've lived it the last 15 years than a player of this kind coming to you in his prime. Like the Lakers getting this makes the transition so magically seamless from Magic to Kareem, to Pat Riley, to Kobe, to just generational greatness that the Lakers feel entitled to every time we get the fading superstar, we replace him with someone who's not Shaq, who's not a fading superstar.
It's precedent setting in that there will never be able to say like this player's untouchable. Like this player will never get traded now, because that was what we would have said about Luka Doncic a week ago.
I know the magnitude of the players that were traded. I get that one of the game's great young players was traded to the LA Lakers, perhaps its greatest organization, the league's greatest organization. And perhaps it will be great for the Lakers 5 years from now. But you know what, Dan? I deal in the now. I don't deal in 5 years from now. I deal in right now. And right now, the Lakers aren't winning a thing, and the Mavericks
you
aren't
say
winning
right
a
now,
thing.
but Luka comes back February 11th from a calf strain, and you're going to watch, correct? You want to know what that looks like, correct? Yes?
Yeah, I'll watch.
The Lakers will probably make watch. They'll probably make another move for a big man for Robert Williams. It'll take them a minute to figure it out. It's now LeBron. Stugotz.
Time Lord.
He was pretty good the last time I watched.
Yeah.
You know who's the actual Time Lord? It's LeBron, oldest player in the league, and now he's condensed these things to 6-month runs. Like, oh, okay, let's see if I can sharpen this up at the trade deadline, see if I can get a superstar over here, Anthony Davis.
Great.
It's so great.
I mean, no, all of this is great. I love broing out with dudes and talking trades. It's the greatest. Just bro out. Let's all have an opinion and not listen to one another and just get our takes off. It's the best.
I love when Stugotz just lies to us. Yeah, you're not going to watch that, Stugotz.
Yo, chicken time.
You're right. I deserve it. I deserve this. Yeah. When do the Lakers play the Mavs? That one I'll watch.
Come on.
I won't watch that one.
I don't believe you. We're not watching any of it.
I don't want that.
Everything's a lie.
Do you guys know what it is
June.
the Celtics got for Marcus Smart? Did they get more than this for Marcus Smart?
Yeah.
They got Porzingis and how many picks?
I saw that in a group chat. They got more from Marcus Smart. This doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. Someone should do something about this. He should be in Miami Heat.
The Mavericks had Brunson as well.
February 25th, Stugotz, 10 p.m. You're going to watch that?
Circle it, yeah.
I will say something now because I have a bit of a clock in my head on how it is that we do things around here. I am afraid of that word. Chris Cody winced there. He was so ready to pounce.
Clock?
Yeah, clock in my head.
Yeah.
And I am telling you right about now, and I think Mike Ryan's judgment here is bad, because I walked into the room the other segment, and I just said to Mike Ryan, I think that's about enough basketball talk. And Mike Ryan said, no, there's never enough. There's there can never be enough on. And then I walked past Matt Kugler, who whispered to me in my ear, my least favorite show that you guys do is the basketball shows.
It's worse
He was
than
actually
hockey shows.
he was actually talking normal voice, but it just sounded like a whisper.
Right.
He is a soft talker. He is the softest talker here. He doesn't want to be on air. I want to use him on air. I think the producer of South Beach Sessions, he's reluctant about all of it, but he's also got a good ear for what this audience wants. And on a Monday, if we do an all Luka show and all Anthony Davis show, I worry about that because we alienate the Matt Kuglers of the world who hate that show from us.
He's not leaving that corner office he's got.
You guys want to do top 5 most talented NFL quarterbacks of all time?
Yes.
I did that in the group chat, and what a discourse.
Is Kugler hiding? He doesn't want to be on camera. Let's get the Kugler cam. He doesn't want to be on camera. I didn't do that, Kugler. I didn't do that to you.
Now, talent is described by me, size, speed, throwing power, throwing accuracy, power also. Like, you have to be a powerful runner because short yardage situation is such a big part of the game. I'm just going to walk into that studio and put this on the table and just slide it over your way. That's my top 5.
Really? This is all time, you're saying?
All time.
Okay.
Talent. Remember, this is not best.
I got a talent. Right.
Yeah.
Talent. Not winning.
I had to, like, someone shouted out Dan Marino. I'm like, look, he's elusive pocket presence and all that, but you're not calling a QB sweep with him.
All right, but he's pretty talented. Like, he would.
Yeah,
well,
no, it's a different list. That's throwers of the football.
Okay, so you're coming in here, you're sliding this list to me. Okay. I'm excited.
Chris Cody, can you get me the stat of the day music before we
Faster.
get to Stugotz's weekend observations?
The
Start of the day.
short version.
Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day.
The leader of God Bless Football, America's favorite and best football podcast, has just been handed a note that seems to have tickled and delighted him. It brought genuine emotion, a genuine wow, close to holy in church.
What a list.
We will get to that in a moment, but first I will tell you that if Clayton Kershaw allows 139 straight earned runs before getting his next out, his ERA would still be under 3.
Still won't have a ring.
This list is peak of their powers. Peak of their powers.
Peak of their powers.
He has a ring.
Yeah.
He
Well,
has
not
a-
my personal record.
Yeah,
but-
well, okay, but
You might think he has a ring. Congratulations. You read a book.
You stopped watching them about the same time you stopped watching basketball. You've gotten tired of your own Clayton Kershaw take. That is an amazing stat I just gave you.
It is. It really is.
That's baseball.
Yep. Number 5, Patrick Mahomes.
No. You're doing it in backwards order.
Number 5.
It should have been obvious.
No way.
It should have been obvious.
I agree with your number 1. That's not your number 1.
No.
Most talented.
He's my number 5.
Okay.
So
Do
wait
it
a
over
minute. Wait a minute. No, but that ruins it.
Well, I mean,
everyone. I mean, he made number 1 Patrick Mahomes. He didn't step out on a limb or anything. Number 5, Cam Newton.
There's not going to be a number 1 to this list.
Number 4, John Elway. Number 3, Aaron Rodgers.
It's the size that's holding him back from top 2.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, Josh Allen. Any guesses on number 1, Dano?
Tom Brady.
No, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Whoa. How is Tom Brady not in the top 5?
How'd you leave Michael Vick out?
How's the best
size.
quarterback ever?
Size. You can't do the power running with him.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, OLI. That was the tightest debate. Cam Newton, MVP season in terms of most talent, or any of Lamar's. But I'm just gonna give a slight edge because Cam Newton's the greatest single red zone weapon I've ever seen.
So Randall Cunningham is
He was in the top 10.
He was thinking about
He was in the top 10. Like
Right.
this was a whole thing.
I only got 5.
Randall's 6'4", so he's got the size going for himself.
Elway doesn't do it for me.
I think this is a young thing.
Thank you.
That is what it is. That Elway, I mean, all the footage is graining. You've lived long enough that all the footage on Elway early in his career in Denver, not the last Super Bowl when he's an old man.
Helicopter.
When he's an old man.
No, the 3 Super Bowls that Elway took the Broncos to with no Terrell Davis, no running game, no anything.
Yes.
That was impressive.
Yes,
But to me, it's all like NFL
graining.
films.
Yes.
It's like the 48 frames per second, like semi-slow-mo film.
It is so funny to have that feel like the 1950s to a generation.
You see the sports take thing that I did inside that top 5. My argument is Josh Allen is existing in the same exact timeline as the most talented quarterback ever. He just so happens to be the second most talented quarterback ever, but he can't get to the Super Bowl.
Lamar Jackson too low on your list.
As OLI?
Yes, I mean,
Do you have him over Cam?
Well, the only reason, you're doing
Rodgers.
you're doing physical gifts for goal line situations. I'm doing physical gifts. I don't need a running back anymore. Like, and when I add a running back, what I've added is Randy Moss to Tom Brady.
Right. Well, Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl with James Starks.
Fair enough, but I don't think that you'll be looking at any of what it is that Lamar wins a Super Bowl with, and it doesn't matter.
Did you say Lamar wins a Super Bowl?
You have him winning one? Didn't even mention Joe Burrow.
Okay. All right.
He was close. Top 10.
I'm with Dan on Lamar Jackson. I mean, better completion percentages than Elway in almost every season.
He's better than Josh Allen, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
I can't either because you're wrong. Dead wrong. Right. Dead wrong. If only we saw them play each other in the playoffs multiple times.
Fewer interceptions, more touchdowns.
On the road and at home.
It does become hard to make my arguments is the problem when you've got the argument ender of they've played 4 times in a sample of 4, and you can turn that argument into they could play for eternity and Josh Allen would never win.
Hey, Lamar Jackson.
I can't win because I can't play any of those games. I've just got the 4. It's a small sample. So if you say to me, Josh Allen simply can't beat Patrick Mahomes, even though I saw it was 13 seconds from happening, and Josh Allen didn't have anything to do with why it is they lost in those 13 seconds, you can still say forever, Josh Allen will never beat Patrick Mahomes because I know it the way I know that ghosts haunt you eternally.
Let's give Lamar Jackson Khalil Shakir.
We're making wins a QB stat again. I don't like it.
I hate it. And small sample size QB stat at that. It's not even you won't even do me the courtesy of a 17-game sample. It's 4.
Look at you dudes wanting to bro out over a top 5.
It's crazy to me. It's because it's the same madness to me. This is the thing that happened
Big
to me.
Ben sneaky in this conversation, by the way.
Oh.
Big Ben, it was hard to keep him. Like I had Big Ben
yeah.
over Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
In terms of talent, like a little skinnier Big Ben.
Runs like a skyscraper, can't be in this top 5.
No, but he ran like a skyscraper towards the tail end of his career. Big Ben, when he first came from Miami of Ohio, that dude could move.
The Colts tackle.
Are you saying Ben was a clumsy runner? Because Mahomes is as well. as great as Mahomes is, when he runs, he looks clumsy. I mean, he does.
Stugotz, I appreciate the clarification. I was not saying that he's a clumsy runner. I was saying that he looks like he runs like a skyscraper has sprouted legs. How that would run, where the upper body doesn't move because it's been battered and contorted by 10 years of, having people bounce off of your upper body, and it doesn't work right anymore. Right. So you can only run to the side really quick like a skyscraper with legs and throw the ball 4 yards.
Okay. I'm going to start compiling my throwers of the football list. And by the way, he may perceive this as a knock. This is a testament to how good Tom Brady is. Okay. Because he's not on the top 5 of any of these.
Just throwers of the football.
He's not in the top 10 of most talented.
Right.
He's not in the top 10 of best throwers of the football.
So he's
the greatest of all time.
So you're doing top 5 throwers of the football?
Yes.
And you're going to slide it to me?
Yeah, but I'll put the numbers.
All right. You hold on to that for a second.
Usually
God bless football is about to come your way in a way that is ferocious, enduring, echoing, and it'll be felt throughout the land. Stugotz is headed there. Billy has stomach problems and is on the way. Before we get to God bless football's epic return to the Super Bowl, can you play for me the stat of the day again, please?
Wow.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Bam Adebayo is now tied for the franchise lead in buzzer beaters in Miami Heat history with Dwayne Wade.
What? Bam?
3 little mid-range jumpers at the end of the game because they threw the ball over there and shouldn't have.
It's a good play. They should draw it up more often.
3 times. I'm just teasing. I just think it's shocking. I think it's shocking to have seen all 3 of those shots and remember them. And it speaks highly to what Mike is talking about and what I'm talking about with Mike when I say, 2010, 2014 spoiled us. Mm-hmm. The Bam Adebayo buzzer beater. I mean, it's been 20. God,
I'm not even a Heat fan, and it spoiled me. That's how good it was.
Right. Look, man, you feel bad for Dallas today. I feel bad for Sacramento, okay? All 25 years that the Heat have been relevant, Sacramento has not been except for one. Like, it's hard to stay. It's just hard to stay up there. And so it's just that the Lakers have been able to do it. They had that one scare, right? Kobe Bryant played for some bad teams. At one point, he has to be traded, I think, right?
Yeah.
He has to be traded to the Clippers, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's how bad it was. Yeah.
But it is hard to remain with a team for all time, and I do think it's a connection, Stugotz, that matters. Like, Anthony Davis will forever be a mercenary in Los Angeles. In some ways, so will LeBron. But Luka was something different with Dallas. Like, they knew
because he was drafted there, because
they saw him grow up. He was a kid. Man, there's rarely anything cooler than saying you were there at the beginning to see what someone's growth is, that you could see the stardom. It's this city's attachment to Wade. Like, you saw him. They knew he came to this country as a teenager, Stugotz. Like,
yes.
He didn't know anything. And we discovered him and he discovered us. And that whole thing, like the way that ends, has to feel like a betrayal to him, no matter the amount of dollars it is that you're talking about. That list is in front of Stugotz. Oh, wow. He's reacting again. But let's do weekend observations before we do that, please, because that you're going to have to hold on to that. Can I look at this list? Can I look at it?
No.
Okay.
No. Could do it in weekend observations. If you're quick. But.
It looks like the screen behind you says gold wiener, by the way.
As it should. I think that we should absolutely make it the gold wiener. That is, Stugotz is taking the gold wiener to New Orleans this weekend, this weekend. Stugotz, can you tell me a little bit about what you guys have got planned? Because I'm worried about Billy's stomach problems, but you are on a roll. God Bless Football is on a roll, and God Bless Football is about to take over. Nobody is a bigger star. Well, maybe Jim Rome.
I think Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
Maybe Mad Dog now.
He is the biggest star
there. Okay, but the reason I say nobody's the biggest star on Radio Row is because Mad Dog is a big, big star. but you schmooze even more than he does. You schmooze on Radio Row. In terms of Radio Row schmoozing, I don't think Mad Dog has now gotten to a point where he's not going to make the rounds. Like there aren't going to be like you're shaking hands of local affiliates. You're dominating radio this week.
We're on one of the outside stages, the big stages, and that really in sports radio in Super Bowl week, that means you've really made it. I like to be on the inside where all the stations are, all the local radio stations are. But Christopher Mad Dog Russo is the mayor. When he walks past me, I'm still in awe. It's the way when I walk past some of the younger generation, they're in awe of me. I hear them talking about me.
Well, can I?
And I love every second of it, Dan. I'll be slinging books like nobody's business.
All right, so who's? Oh, wow. So Stugotz, that's going to be great. Wait a minute. Are we going to get to watch Stugotz in sales action where he's got sample books to give away and he can sell books as a guest on Radio Row?
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, my God. Is that going to be great? So wait a minute. So it's not just that you're a participant and worker and employee and ruler and conquester of Radio Row. It's also that you're going to be able to sell merch. You're going to be able to sell your on every radio station that there is in America.
Yep, I'm going to sign books. I'm going to toss them like Frisbees to certain tables. I have the tables that I want to throw them to. I'll go on the show. I'll promote the book. I can't wait for it, Dan. And I love this week. It's my favorite week. I wish every week was this week. We kick it off tomorrow with Funny Marco.
Okay, excellent. Let's do weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Dan, it's been a year, but it feels like a decade. Every year I leave, I count the days until I return. Back to a room that is filled with nothing but sports radio. Peter King picking out a Danish. Mike Golick getting paid for doing media tours for beef jerky and diabetes prevention. And of course, the mayor of it all, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Dan, like I just said, I wish this week was every week. But make no mistake about it, this week is here. And just like that, Radio Row
here we go
is back.
Here we go.
So excited. You're coming, huh?
I'm
little visit to the row, huh?
I'm going to very briefly.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a whiff. It'll smell.
You won't like it.
It'll smell like plumber's
It will
butt.
smell like me. Congratulations to the NBA. All it took was no NFL games on, but they finally won a weekend. It's one thing to get traded, but the Mavericks called Luka fat and lazy on his way out.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep. Luckily for Luka, he's getting traded to Los Angeles, the body transformation capital of the world. He'll be in peak condition faster than you could say Mindy Kaling.
Juju, can you put it on the poll, please? Should Luka get in shape by getting Hollywood plastic surgery?
We all agree that Luka would look slimmer with a single-digit number. 77 isn't doing him any favors.
Put it on the poll as well. Is the number 77 the opposite of slimming?
It's an O-line number.
It's a bad number, right? The 8 is 8's worse than 7. 7's there's something about 7-7 that's going to be not slimming, particularly not slimming.
The L in Luka stands for left tackle. Double sevens to go along with double chins.
That's not right. It's not accurate. Look at Chris Cody.
Well, he's got 2 sevens. He has 2 chins. What's not accurate?
Cody, you and me can't laugh at that wild jiggling chins beneath our mouths.
I disagree. I'm qualified to laugh at that.
Top 5 things the L in Luka doesn't stand for. Number 5, lettuce.
Oh, here we go.
Number 4, limiting his carbs. Number 3, lifting weights.
Come on.
Number 2, low-calorie diet.
Is this still allowed?
And number 1, Larry O'Brien trophy.
Not a big trade.
Here come the Blue Jackets. They're playing well.
It's a nice story.
Yeah. It's a nice story.
Yeah, because Johnny Hockey.
You're right. Bill Belichick is releasing a book called The Art of Winning, Lessons from a Life in Football. Chapter 1, have Tom Brady. The end.
What about chapter 2?
There is no chapter 2.
No?
No.
Okay, I was going to say buy pizza before a North Carolina Duke game
No.
for all the frats.
Just have Tom Brady. The end. A Jim Nantz interview can only take place in front of a fireplace.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is it wrong if a Jim Nantz interview takes place anywhere other than in front of a fireplace?
Or in Butler Cabin, but I feel like there's a fireplace in Butler Cabin.
Yeah,
I
it's the
could be
same-
wrong.
it's the same
right,
thing.
but it's spring.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's the same
right.
thing.
It should be.
Yeah.
If there isn't.
There is,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right.
I think there should be, there is in our imagination, in our personal cabin book.
Headline, I like that. Barnes & Nobles to add 60 new stores this year as bookstore revival picks up speed. When I told you, Dan, I was going to save books, I was serious.
Yes, and
StugottsBook.com.
And you've been right. Yes.
I mean, 60 new stores for Barnes & Nobles. You're happy? What a day for
Yes,
you.
How would I not be
I thought you would
happy?
lead the show with it.
How would I not be happy for both you and the written word? It is one of the great tributes to the history of our audience and show that you are a champion who now sells books on Radio Row this week.
That's my dream. Something to sling on Radio Row.
It's great.
It's amazing.
So great.
February 25th, Mavericks Lakers. Go ahead right now and circle the date.
Are the rest of you happy for Stugotz? It doesn't feel like you guys are
no
real.
one's happy.
How are you not embracing the idea of Stugotz on Radio Row, where Tony Saragusa once came and sold us diabetes medicine
Goose.
with crumbs on his shirt? Stugotz is going to sell his best-selling book, and he's going to be slinging the book around Radio Row.
Right.
Look at the indifference in the
He
other
said
room.
booth.
I couldn't even look at your face.
Yeah, it's hard.
Can't wait to read your booth.
Thank you.
I heard Boothers are back in 2025.
Where were we?
Interesting trend piece I read.
I'm with you, Dan, by the way. I don't feel they're excited.
I mean,
I feel yours, though.
The booth is out on you.
it's the coolest. It's the coolest. I can't believe that we get to celebrate Stugotz this way. It's lovely.
Celebrate him by the booth.
I've always said, if you're worried about one player's conditioning, trade for the much older superstar that's always injured. To everybody calling Anthony Davis a Laker legend, do me a favor and stop. He is not a Laker legend. What are we doing? You cannot say Anthony Davis is a Laker legend.
How great a player.
This is not Wilt. This is not Jerry West. This is not James Worthy. This is nobody. It's a guy who won a title in a bubble. He's not a legend. I'm not even certain LeBron is a Laker legend. How about that?
Anthony Davis is better than James Worthy, Stugotz.
Dan.
Do you think the history booth will agree?
There was a little Adam Sandler in there, I heard.
There was.
there a history booth?
Big game James. I mean, do it.
Hello. Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, that is good.
The Mavericks immediately getting blown out and giving up 91 points in the first half to the Cavs. The post-Luka era off to a great start.
They lost by 40. Everyone said they were shell-shocked. Like, they came out of the locker room the same way we would have. Like, holy shit, Roy cursed the church.
The Mavs should have asked for Bronny back too, just to see how badly LeBron wanted to play with Luka. That would have been so great. He says no, right? He says no. He says no, right? That's where he draws the line. Bronny
That'd be so good.
puts Bronny with Kyrie.
What would happen is
That's great.
LeBron would deny he knew anything he knew about it. Like, he would just say, I didn't know they were trading my son.
Right.
And then he would have plausible deniability
Right.
with his
Son, I
wife
didn't know.
and
Right,
his son. He would just claim that
It's a business. Right.
Rich Paul and
Put his
I.
hand and make him swear on the booth of God.
The idea of LeBron trying to trade his son without his family finding out is a reality show.
Oh, it's great. That would get me back into
Like,
the NBA.
like just playing cards with Rich Paul and being like, you know what,
Has LeBron ever gone to the second page of a booth?
If the Pro Bowl games were any more pointless, they'd be called soccer.
A 0 Dark 30.
The highlight of the Pro Bowl was watching Peyton Manning's 13-year-old throw in the pregame. Marshall Manning, elite quarterback name. When your nickname is the Sheriff, you have to name your kid Marshall.
Put it on the poll.
So good.
At Le Batard Show, is Marshall Manning an elite quarterback name?
Oh, God. He's going to be so good. I have no idea if he even wants to play quarterback or not. He's going to be good. LaMelo Ball checked all the boxes for an all-star, except not being a Charlotte Hornet. Impractical jokers. Say it, Mike.
Impractical.
Leads the league in always being on TV. It's always there. Every day.
Put it on the poll.
That and Friends.
At Le Batard Show, is Impractical Jokers on your television somewhere in the world at all times?
Duke with a rare 17-point blowout win. That doesn't indicate just how bad it was. Taylor. You know where Duke took North Carolina, Dan? I don't know what happened there. Had a stroke.
To the woodshed.
They did, Taylor.
You tripped on the way to the woodshed.
You know what the H in Hubert Davis stands for, Dan?
I do not.
Hot seat.
Whoa.
Taylor. In honor of the Chiefs trying to three-peat.
What is happening to you?
My top 3 peats in sports.
He's having a stroke.
In honor of the Chiefs.
I didn't say book. Boof. I don't know what's going on. Super Bowl radio row. OLI.
Did you bite the back of your tongue?
Pete Alonso. The polar bear.
Wait, what is this?
That's not another one.
This is my top 3 Pete's in sports.
Top 3 Pete's.
Yes.
Which part are you not getting about this? Pete Alonso is number 3.
He's OLI.
Sorry.
Rodney Pete.
Is that number 3 or OLI?
OLI. Pete Carroll. OLI. Big Balls Pete. Number 3, Pete Maravich. Pistol Pete. Number 2, Pete Sampras. Also, Pistol Pete. Number 1, Pete Rose. Charlie Hustle.
No Pete Horners.
No, it's my list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it top 5 Pete's or top 3 Pete's?
It was top 3 with 2 OLIs, I believe.
I thought you were going to do like
I left
top
out
3
Calvin
Pete
Pete. Yeah.
wordplay, and the Chiefs were number 1. But no, you just did 3.
3
okay,
Pete's.
got it.
Yeah, and he had 7 OLIs.
My bad.
Pete Incaviglia.
Inky. Oh, God. Left him out. Top 5 throwers of the football all time.
Whoa.
Mayor Pete. Just kidding.
OLI. Josh Allen. Number 5. I agree with this. Oh, my God.
It's your list. What do you mean you agree with this?
No, it's not my list. It's Mike's.
I thought that this was Mike handing you the list that was your list.
It's Mike handing me he slid me the list.
Oh, he did that in front of people?
Yes, yeah.
I thought that was private producing.
Number 5, Jeff George. Oh, my God, was he good.
Didn't Joe Milton just throw a ball 85 yards this weekend?
I have no idea. Number 4, Dan Marino. Number 3, I agree, Stephen Morris.
Come on, man.
Dan,
Come
he
on.
had a
You could argue
chooch.
he's too low.
Come on.
Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. And number 1, take a guess, Dan.
It's not Elway.
Pat Mahomes. Since I wasn't here Friday, allow me to take the time for an acceptance speech for God Bless Football winning another podcasting award. Shannon Sharp, better luck next year. You too, Dominique Foxworth.
Whoa.
And Bill Barnwell.
Whoa.
And Split Zone Duo.
Whoa.
And Locked On Titans.
Whoa.
And Shaw's local Best Insider podcast. And War Chant podcast featuring seminal headlines.
Oh, man, that one was really good this year.
Really?
That was my favorite podcast this year.
The S in Shannon Sharp stands for silver. Chad Ochocinco, more like Chad Ochodoso. Mina Kimes, I don't want to dog you, but Lenny would have been an award winner on my podcast.
Whoa.
David Sampson, nothing personal, but third place is an upgrade for anything you're in charge of. Making a career out of telling athletes that wins are the only thing that matter, only to then win every award myself. You, of course, know what I did, right, Dan?
What'd you do?
I talked the talk,
Oh,
and I walked the walk.
you did.
3 awards,
did.
4 years. I believe that's what we in the business call a dynasty.
Pretty close.
Put my podcast awards in a box. Now put Jason Kelsey's in a box. And then ask yourself, who should really have the late night show on ESPN? And be dating Taylor Swift.
We're breaking news.
What?
Yeah, big breaking news.
What
You
happened?
can't
I
interrupt.
get
No,
to,
we can. We
I
can.
get to be the guy that
Yeah.
delivers news to you for the first time, and I love this.
But wait a minute. An acceptance speech?
Hang
that's-
on. He's going to love this. Myles Garrett has requested a trade.
Oh, my God. And we're done with the NBA. I mean,
Just when I was going to be pulled right back in.
I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah.
You cannot interrupt the sanctity of the weekend observations.
Myles Garrett. This is the NFL. He didn't even want to request a trade. Goodell picked up the phone and said, hey, you see these headlines? I don't like them one bit. It's our week. Mm-hmm. Request a trade, even if you don't mean it.
we had a lot to overcome to get here. The biggest names in the sport, having to do some shows on Zoom, and, of course, Mike Fuentes having a microphone.
I mean,
Taylor. You know what the S in Stugotz stands for?
look, wait a minute.
Not second place.
Taylor does not deserve to
Come to
laugh.
life.
Wait a
Hey,
minute.
what do you mean?
Wait a minute. This is because we've got two competing interests here at Metal Art
I
Media.
love Fuentes.
Between good employees who work hard and sinister ones that are hell-bent on causing chaos.
Wait, which one is which?
Taylor's a little too happy with Mike Fuentes taking that particular stray during an acceptance speech that it doesn't feel like Stugotz totally wrote. So now look at Taylor getting off inner office resentments. He's sneaking them into weekend observations, and he's delighted with himself.
Yep.
Look at it.
You know what the S in Stugotz stands for? Not second place. Never second place. We actually interviewed a witch, and it wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene. Dan.
Dan wrote that one.
Yes.
What gave you the clue? The Dan?
Sometimes they're like, Dan? I didn't know if we were starting the next sentence.
You thought he had okay. You thought he read his notes wrong.
Clarifying for the audience.
I was just saying Dan.
No,
It's
okay,
Dan's
what?
observation.
I
He's
know.
never written an observation
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
And
I wrote that one.
That was the first time.
Myles Garrett put out a press release for this, and
Yeah.
damn, it stings. Like, he's basically blaming the Browns for sucking, and that's why he wants to leave.
Oh, you can't do this to Stugotz's
Wow.
weekend
Wow.
observation.
He's like,
Twice.
look, I need to compete
Yes.
for a Super Bowl straight up.
Wow.
I'm out.
Wow.
What is the press release? Go ahead and read it.
I mean, it closes. With that in mind, I have requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. But as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for, excuse me, $5. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. The past 8 years have shaped me into what I am today. Blah, 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 blah. While I love calling this city home, my desire is to win and compete on the biggest stages, and this it won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was to never go from Cleveland to Canton. It was always to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I've requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns.
Stugotz, I would say that even though we love the transaction and stars and names, I do, not that you necessarily have to do comparison shopping on this, but Myles Garrett, a great Canton-worthy, great as the position can be played defensive end, requesting a trade, while interesting and seismic, tells you how much bigger basketball stars are than football stars. That'll be interesting to many people, but it won't be what we've been talking about for 2 hours, and it won't eat up 2 hours of coverage on any televisions tomorrow either.
Pablo Torre. Do it without 40 people on staff. Pablo Torre, do it with somebody named K-Funk. Pablo Torre, do it with a Yankee fourth starter named Jabba Chamberlain. Dan, saying these podcast awards are prestigious and then having no idea what they are called. Dan, the Stugotz is also strong in you.
They're the greatest of all the awards. They're the most important of the awards. They're the most prestigious and credible of all the podcast awards.
That's a wordy name. I might start more podcasts to see how many categories I can win, just for the hell of it. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
He's going to crush Radio Row. He deserves everything he's getting. And by he, I mean Billy Gill. Stugotz is on his way out of here. He's trying to decide, and Mike Ryan was curiously interested in this in a way that surprised me. He's trying to decide whether to take the 90-minute flight to New Orleans or just drive up right after the show, just drive 11 hours and get there by midnight. I was stunned to hear Mike Ryan be interested in this, although I do understand adding at least a couple of hours to your trip if you don't want to deal just with the airport. Getting to the airport, bothering with people at the airport.
This is adding 10 hours to my trip.
I think there's just a lot in the news as to why you'd want to avoid airports and airplanes. I get it. I've gotten way more scared of air travel over the last couple of years.
You want to make the drive, or what do you think? Me and you? A road trip?
You would never do that.
I would do it.
He's considering it. He was considering.
No, I know Mike might.
Stugotz was considering just driving up after the flight. He doesn't mind wasting a little money.
I mean, he does that every day and go home.
He'll just keep driving. He'll just
never stop.
Another hour.
He'll just miss the exit past his
halfway
house.
point.
Yes. We are going to get to Felipe Esparza in a second, but not before we bring in Amin Al-Hassan, our regular NBA insider. You can check him out in a renewed and refurbished oddball with Izzy Gutierrez. What are you making faces about? Why are you making what's the matter?
Who's Felipe Esparza?
He's a comedian. He's got 3 Netflix specials. What's the matter with? Okay.
Right.
I honestly thought it was a baseball player. I was like, "What baseball player? What did something happen in baseball where they got this guy coming on?" I thought maybe I don't know, maybe New Marlin or something.
All right, so put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Felipe Esparza, new Marlin or a new comedian?
You know what? Now we have to ask him if he knows who Amin Al-Hassan is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We will do that in a second. Amin, what were your thoughts from all you've read and consumed? This is a lot of consensus here. Give me some answers to some questions. Incompetence by the Mavericks? Why would you not go to all the teams and see what you could get?
Well, first, I'd like to start off by calling you an absolute fraud because there's no way you go to the bathroom for number 2 and you're not on your phone. What are you doing? You're just alone
Great
with
point.
your thoughts during that time?
Thank you.
You're lying. A newspaper, maybe. If you told me, "Oh, wait, I still pick up the paper."
No, there are books in the bathroom. There are physical books. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I stand corrected. You're rereading these books? Have you finished them? Do they get new books? And when you're done with them,
I'm in the middle of like 7 different books.
What do you do with them when they're done? Because you can't donate
Name one
bathroom
book
books.
you've read on the toilet.
Sometimes I could take that out of there. Sometimes I can't.
If you're reading 7 books, Dan, you're not reading 1. I mean,
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show.
Can we spell the booth?
I mean, go ahead, please.
Okay, so, obviously, I got notified of this, and my buddy who let me know said this is the biggest trade in NBA history. And I wanted to fight back and say, no, that's not true. We're just being prisoners of the moment. And I thought about it, like, this is the biggest trade in NBA history because we've never had 2 superstar players in their primes, and Anthony Davis, yes, is still in his prime, getting traded for one another mid-season like that, let alone completely caught off guard for the entirety of the league. I want to thank Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison for showing everybody that you don't have to whisper, "Hey, I think we're about to do this deal. You should go out and tweet and see what the public thinks." No, do your business behind closed doors. All these leaks that we've accepted as this is just how things are nowadays in the internet age. Nope, there are still people who can keep secrets. And by the way, you know who one of those people are? Danny Ainge, because he was the 3rd person in this deal. Danny Ainge made this happen by being that kind of stowaway zone where Jalen Hood-Schifino ends up.
You say this, but still an act of either negligence or incompetence not to go to every team in the league to get the valuable asset that you have a maximum value, no?
I think this is the part where it gets complicated, it gets tricky. Because when you have a 25-year-old face of the franchise, maybe perhaps one of the faces of the league, cornerstone superstar player, it's not like dangling, Duncan Robinson in a deal where it's like, oh, my name's in the rumors. Like, you'll be fine. It doesn't work like that. That is, you only get one shot of trading.
I mean, I was theorizing that if you're going to blindside him by taking $100 million away, you do not want anyone knowing that.
Because also, if let's say the Lakers had said no, or if they had gotten to a place where the deal wasn't going to get made, you want to be able to walk back into that workplace and not be super freaking awkward because you tried to trade the face of the franchise. The need for secrecy means you cannot go around talking to a bunch of people. And when you think about it in that regard, I understand. Apparently they talked to two teams. One of them was the Lakers. We don't know what the other team is. My theory is it's Milwaukee and it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's as I look through the caliber of players where this deal would work for Dallas, listening to what Nico Harrison saying he prioritized in coming back in this deal, and then a superstar that you had to believe might be available.
How many teams say no to Luka, to their best player for Luka? Give me the number of teams.
Denver with Jokic, San Antonio with Wembanyama, Milwaukee with Giannis. I think Golden State probably says no with Steph, even though we'll say, well, Steph is 35 and this kid is 25 and that's 10 more years. I don't think you can crater your franchise in that way. And then there's another level of this, Dan, where it's like, I'll say no because I don't think Luka will stay. And I think Milwaukee's one of those places. Milwaukee knows that Giannis doesn't have a problem with the market. He doesn't have a problem with the weather. He doesn't have a problem with the lack of endorsements. Giannis's big issue in Milwaukee, if he has one, is when are we going to win another championship? And so to have that and know all of those things is way more important than the unknown of, well, maybe Luka will like it, maybe he won't. And so I think that there's a little bit of that at play as well.
LeBron knows nothing. LeBron is at dinner and learns at dinner.
Yeah. So like that, this is where it gets really complicated. He learned it at dinner. I don't believe LeBron learned from the internet. I just don't believe that. If the deal is done, and the deal was done in the middle of the game, as I was told, they consummated that deal pretty much. They agreed to the final terms in the middle of that game. Rich Paul had known for 48 hours. At that point, once it's a done deal, I think Rich tells LeBron. Maybe LeBron found out during dinner from Rich.
You think Rich is keeping that from LeBron for 48 hours as part of his agent duties?
I do, and I think Dan, for you have a very bad habit. I got to call you out on this. You lump Rich, LeBron, and Maverick together all the time. They are separate people. They're involved in separate business ventures. Sometimes they collaborate, sometimes they don't. So and making a point about Rich Paul and LeBron, you said, and they're looking for $5 billion to invest in a rival. No, that's Maverick's thing. That's not Rich's thing, and that's not LeBron's thing.
But these are lifelong. But wait a minute, I mean.
But Dan, should I associate?
No, fair enough. No, fair enough. But these are lifelong friends, and these are business associates who have trafficked over lifelong friendships, and their allegiances are going to be to each other over Anthony Davis or the billion-dollar investors.
I think Rich Paul is a professional. He takes his job very seriously. And as such, I think he does look out for his client, Anthony Davis, over his friend LeBron James in that instance, especially because the other part of this is not like they traded Anthony Davis for, again, let me stop picking on him, but like Duncan Robinson and Haywood Highsmith. Right, like they traded him for a superstar player. So
I mean, would you not agree that LeBron James and Rich Paul are the greatest of friends?
They're great friends. Yes.
Okay, so you're telling me that Rich Paul is so honorable that he's going to make sure to take care of the same client he pulled out of New Orleans in order to get LeBron a fountain of youth in Los Angeles, that his loyalty and is going to be to his job and his client and not to his one of his best friends. who is also affected, whose entire economy is affected by this.
He's the reason he has those clients, though. I mean,
hold on. Do you think that LeBron benefited more from Anthony Davis than Anthony Davis benefited from getting traded to the Lakers to play with LeBron? Is that what you're implying?
It worked out for both of them, but Anthony Davis was brought to be but Anthony Davis was brought to be the guy who helped LeBron age.
Dan, you're not answering my question. I'm asking you, do you think LeBron James benefited more in his life, his career, his legacy from the addition of Anthony Davis than vice versa? Than Anthony Davis benefited from getting to leave New Orleans to go be a Laker and play with LeBron James?
I do not.
Okay. So it wasn't about helping LeBron. Sure, LeBron got helped. Sure, LeBron's interests were served. But it was about helping Anthony Davis. Rich Paul was servicing his client, Anthony Davis, in that regard, getting him out of a situation for a franchise that wasn't winning, from a small market, to play with a superstar who was going to help elevate Anthony Davis. And as we look at it now, Anthony Davis is a top 75 player. Does that happen if he doesn't go to the Lakers? Because LeBron's still top 75. LeBron's still considered one of the greatest. We're still having LeBron versus Jordan arguments if Anthony Davis never goes to Lakers. But is the opposite true? Does Anthony Davis get to be a top 75 player if he doesn't leave New Orleans?
Is that rhetorical? I agree with whatever you say. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on. I saw a clip from Basketball Illuminati that was referencing, I think, a Ben Golliver Trojan horse theory about Kyrie Irving going to the Mavericks to blow them up so that Luka could be so unhappy that he would end up back on the Lakers. And I want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
So on Basketball Illuminati, Ben Golliver just talked about Kyrie Irving being a Trojan horse. We're the ones that elevated to, and that's how Luka gets to be a Laker. And that episode dropped on February 23rd of 2023, I want to say. It was right after the All-Star game. And our whole theory about it was LeBron, me and George Sedano came up with this years ago on LA radio. When LeBron first became a Laker, we warned the audience, the Los Angeles audience, hey, this guy doesn't leave breadcrumbs. He leaves whole loaves of bread. And so Tom and I and Anthony Mays, we went back and we looked at like the All-Star drafts because LeBron leaves whole loaves of bread. Who does he draft high in these All-Star drafts? It tells you who he likes, who he really wants. He took Anthony Davis #1 overall in 2020 when Anthony Davis was a Pelican. There you go. That's a flag up. Now Anthony Davis is his teammate. He takes him #1 in each one of these drafts, but the next pick he takes is Luka Doncic. And so we made that connection there. We read the tea leaves. We connected the dots. We kept our third eye open. And so 2 years ago, we predicted that Luka Doncic would be a Dallas.
That should be a victory lap.
That is sports radio, my man.
I think you should be victory lapping right now while you're on your couch. I do believe we are underestimating Anthony Davis, though. Yes, he benefits from being LeBron's #2, but he's forever considered a #2 because we never got to see him as the #1 after New Orleans. And I don't know that that's what we're going to see now. I think you yourself are devaluing how good Anthony Davis is.
I am not. I am. So Bomani said it best. We need to stop pretending like Anthony Davis is Dale Davis, right? Which is a great call, great pull by Bomani. But he's right. Like this is an elite defensive player, all defensive team perennial, who is also an elite offensive player. There are not too many players in the league that we can say with certainty this guy is both all NBA and all defensive team every year, barring injury or something like that. I'm just telling you, with regards to who helped who, LeBron helped Anthony Davis way more in terms of his legacy and how he's looked at than vice versa.
What's the most interesting thing about all of this to you? All of it.
There's something the Mavericks know about Luka that they're not telling us. There is something there that we don't, and I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's medical or it's physical. It might just be they felt strongly that he's not going to stay. And this isn't the first time we've had this. It's going to sound like a ridiculous comparison given what happened afterward. But once upon a time, Dan, Darren Williams was looked at as him and Chris Paul, who's the best point guard in the league. He was a franchise player. And the Jazz, in the middle of the night, traded him to Brooklyn. We didn't even know he was available. And he had like a year and a half or 2 years left on his deal. So it wasn't even one of those, he's going to be a free agent. We got to get something for him. And at the time, the Utah Jazz said, look, we're not confident that this guy is going to stay. And if he's not going to stay, we don't want to wait until we lose the leverage. We want to go out there and do the deal that we want to do ahead of time. And so they moved him. This is like that times a million. And so for me, I'm thinking about that part of it. There's that part of it. Is it a Darren Williams thing where it's like, we got to get out ahead of this? Or is this and this is an extreme example again, Zion Williamson thing, right? Think about Zion Williamson after like his second year. If the Pelicans were like, he's great, he's awesome, this is an elite talent, but I don't know. I think we're going to be stuck in this cycle of him never getting in shape and then, playing and getting in shape and then playing great and then getting hurt again and then he's out of shape. And we have to pay him all of this money. And our franchise is stagnant because it all hinges on whether this guy is ever going to take that part of it seriously. If the Pelicans had made the decision in year 2, we would have killed them for trading him. Now we look at it and we look at the crater that is New Orleans and we're like, yeah, kind of in retrospect, hitching your sales to this guy may have hamstrung you from building something complete. And I look at Dallas and I'm saying maybe that's part of the equation as well. But either way, there's something there that we're not getting when we just say, oh my God, I can't believe it was just Anthony Davis in one pick.
Amin, do you think the deal gets done if the Mavs demand Bronny?
No deal. No, that's when Rich Paul picks up the phone and calls LeBron. He doesn't call Bronny, by the way. He calls LeBron. I'm going to call his father.
See you later, I mean, good talking to you.
All right. Kanye tweeted about it, by the way. That's how big a deal this was. You guys realize that? Kanye was in the middle of a rant.
Yeah.
And then like midway through, he's like, I don't watch sports, but apparently Luka just got traded. That's to tell you that this deal was so big, it cut through the sphere of ignorance that surrounds Kanye West. And I mean that term in every way.
So we can all agree Kanye should be the bellwether for all of these things and the nation's attention. Thank you. I mean, that is the ultimate arbiter. The ultimate arbiter.
Yeah. Yes. That his ignorance was pierced by this deal. Look, Myles Garrett ain't moving that needle like that, right?
I had a different Kanye algorithm last night.
Amin El-Hassan was really disrespectful, but also a little bit right when he says, I don't know who Felipe Esparza is, but he sounds like a shortstop. He sounds like a baseball player. That does sound more like a baseball player than a comedian, but he is selling out tour dates across the country. It's currently the At My Leisure tour. He has one of the top comedy podcasts here for about a decade, What's Up Fool, and he's got 3 specials that are streaming on Netflix and Max, and he's got another one coming out on Netflix, Raging Fool, that streams globally here next month, or next week, actually. So, Philippe, thank you for joining us. He's also a giant sports fan. So just you wake up this morning, or you wake up yesterday morning to the news, or at night, you hear that Luka Doncic is a member of your Lakers, and your thoughts were what? And thank you for joining us, by the way.
My thoughts were, who is Luka Doc?
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. So you're not that big of a sports fan then. You're
I'm not big of a. I like the Lakers, but I'm one of those people, man, that I still root for the Clippers. You know, because you got to root for your stepson. You know. But I love the Lakers, man, and I don't really know who that person is, man. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I got bad information.
He's on your team now.
He's on the Lakers. Do you know who Amin El-Hassan is? Because if you don't know who Luka Doncic is, there's no way.
Does Luka, did he come illegally from Ukraine?
No, that's not exactly.
Did he come on a sports visa to stay in his country?
Are you a Dodger fan? Are you not?
Bro, I'm a Dodger fan, bro. I threw out the first pitch. I used to stop popcorns there. I insulted Reggie Jackson one time in Oakland, California by mistake because I was too nervous to meet the greatest player of all time. He goes, I shook his hand, and when he squeezed it, the first thing out of my mouth to Reggie Jackson was, when I was a little kid, my father and I, we saw Bob Walsh strike you out in the World Series.
How old were you?
Bro, I was 30, bro.
Bob Walsh.
I was 30 when I saw him, when I told him that. But I was a kid when I saw that.
Stugotz, I don't think it was Bob Walk. I think it was Bob Welch. I think he said.
Bob Welch, yeah.
Okay, I heard it as Walk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Bob Walk, great picture for the Pirates, though.
Thank you. I thought that would be your wheelhouse for sure. Didn't you work at Dodger Stadium?
Yes, I used to make hot dogs and popcorn, and I used to sell souvenirs around the stand.
Your story's kind of crazy, right? I mean, you talk about all this stuff in your special. You don't keep very much out of it. Your journey, was it funny while it was happening? Because some of the stuff feels like it wasn't that funny.
No, a lot of that stuff was really sad and heartbreaking, but I didn't have a therapist, or my mom would just say, get over it. So stand-up comedy was like the only therapy where I could just release it and let it go.
Well, what are we talking about there, though? Because for the people who don't know your story, we're talking about deportation how many times? Just start there on how you got to this country.
Oh, man. The first time we got in this man's car, and I don't know who that was, my mother and I and my two other brothers. And we already passed go, bro. We passed the border. We were waiting for $200, like Monopoly. But then we are halfway down, like by San Clemente, California. There was like a border checkpoint that the sheriffs of San Clemente had. They were like men, I guess, but they were stopping the freeway and they were randomly stopping people. We were already in America. We were already in. But then they caught us and they took our driver. I don't know who that was. Probably like a Mexican Uber driver, Wild E. Coyote, and they let him go because he was American, and they took us to a detention center. My mom was separated from us, and then we just ate sandwiches and watched Bugs Bunny cartoons. And the next day we walked to the gate, and we were back in Mexico. But the third time, my aunt, she dressed up my little brother like a little girl, and he was Pati now. And we borrowed my cousin. We used my cousin's passports, and we got to America. Yeah, some people come out of the closet. My brother came out of the country.
These stories obviously are not being told by many people on the stand-up comedy tour. How unlikely is your story, the idea that you have comedy specials? Like, does that even register with you, the idea of being able to make this kind of career with your freedom when, you're remembering the time you're in America, you're close to your dreams, and your dreams probably didn't look exactly like this?
Yes, and I didn't know this when we crossed the border and all that. Like, my parents didn't tell us. They were not like a coach. They were not prepping us. Like, all right, you're gonna be a girl. You're gonna be this guy, and so we didn't know. We just chilled. We're innocent little kids, and my mom would just tell us after school, don't talk to nobody, just run home.
I wonder, you can laugh at some of this stuff, but you see where we are in the country right now at a Raptors game, and the Canadian people are supposed to be polite. They're booing the national anthem. The things that America,
treason.
the things that America is doing is landing poorly, and they are making stories like yours and people like you the other. You do what with that politically as you live in the middle of it, but are grateful for what this country provides or has provided?
Yes, and I just became a U.S. citizen 3 months ago.
Congratulations.
Yes, it is funny because my parents, they became U.S. citizens before me. It just took me a while. And I feel great, man. Like, I feel like, I joke about it now, but I feel like now I could commit crimes without the fear of deportation.
Congratulations.
That was really holding me back from being an arch criminal, papi.
You do your specials in Spanish or English, English. What language are you funnier in?
You know what? I think I'm funnier in Spanish because I think in Spanish, but I speak in English. So when I went to Mexico to try out the Spanish, it was different from America, man. Like, I realized that 3% of the words that I was saying here in America that are Spanish are not Spanish words. They're like stuff that immigrants have made up, man, over the years. It's like pochwa, but in Spanish,
Is it Spanglish? Like what are you talking about? Like sandwiche?
Bro, it's like, I don't know how to say the word brakes growing up, like fix my brakes. So we would just add like white people, when they don't know a Spanish word, they add an O at the end, like your son has not done his homework. Okay. You know, so that's fair. You know, they're trying. You know, they're trying to blend in.
Right.
But Mexicans, some Latinos in the West Coast, we had an AS after every word or an ES in front of an S. Like, give me a Sprite, you know, or fix my brecas.
Okay, so breaks? What's break? What does break become? Or was it breakfast that you were talking about? You said breaks, right?
Breaks ended up being an AS, so fix my brecas. And when I said it in Mexico, total silence, bro. Like, they treated me like I have blue eyes and blonde hair over there.
When you have a special coming out, what is the feeling? Because, again, Raging Fool comes out February 11th. Is it nervous, excitement, relief? You've been working on this material for a long time, yes?
I'm nervous because once it airs, I can't do those jokes no more because people are going to say, oh, man, he's doing the same joke from the special. So I got to hurry up and start writing new jokes.
You better hurry up.
That's the hard part.
Yeah,
I can't be going up there. It's not like when you're a singer, man, and people want to hear Doja Cat. They want to hear her hit. They want to hear it over and over. They want to hear, you know. But I can't do that. I got to go out there and do some crowd work and come up with new material. Like, I have a bit where I say that I'm getting older, you know. I went to a doctor for a health checkup. He said, I'm going to need a blood sample, a urine sample, a semen sample, and a stool sample. I'm like, doctor, you're lucky. I got all that in my underwear right now.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. You're a dentist, you pervert.
You
can't say that again.
Yeah, that's it. It's over. Yeah. It's a funny way to describe your special, the idea that it's over and then you have to start all over at the bottom of the mountain. So basically on February 11th, it's not a day of delight and celebration that your special comes out. It's the warning that you have to get back to work. Hurry up. You've got a blank slate, you idiot.
Yeah, I do, man. I don't want to go up there and because I remember when my first special came out, I didn't know that you have to go write new material. I thought you could be like Rodney Dangerfield or just do the same material over and over. Hey, no respect. But there was like people who love my stand-up who were in the front, and every time I talk, they were lip syncing what I was saying. So they were talking with me. It was like a sing-along.
Yeah, that's when you know the stuff has it's time to redo it. But when you're driving over the border, what are you dreaming of doing in this country? Like how unusual is a career in comedy from where you were?
Oh man, almost impossible. Like my father was an immigrant. He worked like 60 hours a week. My mom worked cleaning houses, and we were always home alone. And when I told my father found out that I was doing stand-up comedy and not having a job and not going to community college. He was very upset, man, because he was more upset because I think a lot of parents, when their kids have a wild dream or a wild career, they're seeing themselves in that position. Like when I told my dad found out I was a stand-up comedian, he put himself as a stand-up comedian, and he got scared for me. Like, no, don't do that. Keep your job at UPS. One day you'll be a driver.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's safer, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's already what can Brown do for you?
Roy Wood Jr. is a friend of the show. He recently told a story on another podcast about how you taught him about kindness and friendship after you beat him on Last Comic Standing. And he said he and the other comics weren't nice to you, and that for a while the only person that would talk to you on tour after that was the bus driver. What do you remember about all of that?
Oh man, those guys were all bitter because they lost to a Mexican, and I ended up winning $250,000. But I should have told them, on the bus, if I would have been talking to them, hey, bro, I didn't really win $250,000. They got me for child support the next day. My baby mama ended up winning. She became the last baby mama standing.
But you were nice to them, though. None of this came out.
I'm nice to everybody, man. Everywhere I went, people were giving me stuff. There was people wearing it was hard for them because I guess they've been on TV before, or they had TV credits, I guess. They're known in the East Coast, but me, I'm known in the West Coast. I've been doing stand-up longer than them, but they never heard of me. But I was building like an underground following, and I had a lot of jokes, and my jokes were short. I had a lot of no story. They were like boom, 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 punchlines. Like I had a joke where I say, I met a woman last night. She said, I'll sleep over your house, but we can't have any sex. I said, all right, tomorrow morning we'll have breakfast. You can't eat no food. Boom, you know. And I said that, well, the police pulled me over. They asked me, do you have anything inside illegal? I looked at my cousin, I ran. Boom, you know, I had a bunch of punchlines, bro. I was like a Muhammad Ali, bro. Rope you rope with jokes.
I love the boom, like you're boxing. You're
Just like my father was a
yeah.
My father was a boxer. My grandfather, they were boxers, bro. They used to box tomatoes, grapes, oranges in California.
I apologize. It took me this long to realize this, but Felipe, you and Dan look exactly. Felipe, I'm sorry. You and Dan look exactly alike. I mean, you do.
Well, there is a picture. There's a picture of me from the pandemic. Yes, very Cuban.
Look at it, bro.
Yes,
we both look like Salma Hayek.
I will tell the people again that Felipe is on his nationwide tour. What do you want people to know, Felipe, about what it is that you're doing? Is it Raging Fool that you want them to check out? Are you prouder of At My Leisure? Like, what do you view as your career achievement of the moment?
Oh man, go watch Raging Fool on Netflix. Watch it a bunch of times. Cut up the clips, put them up on TikTok if you want. You know, bootleg it, do whatever you want with it. It's all for you, man.
That's very generous of you. Thank you. Spread the love. Yes, we will spread the Mexican love. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time on the show. Thank you for taking it.
Thanks for having me, man. Let's go Dodgers. Also, I'm a big Raider fan, even though we're over a decade.
Yeah, I asked you about the Lakers instead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you know who Pete Carroll is?
Oh, yeah, man. Well, we could have the Pete Carroll, 10 Pete Carroll. We still have the same team, though.
Yeah,
that's
part of the problem.
We are over a decade, bro. I mean, you got to understand, bro. You got to be a team that shows up and ready to play every Sunday. The fans are more prepared. Look at the way they're dressed. They're cross-dressing. They're wearing black and silver. I mean, we're the only fans that have we have a wave with a boo in it. Ah, boo.
Yeah, that's it's 22 years without a playoff victory. But your Dodgers are cheating.
Yeah, man. The Dodgers, man, we're the best. People say we're cheating, but we're just LA, bro. We're the best.
Okay, but you're cheating. Like, it's not fair that you get to buy all the players, and just because you get to hold up your fingers, LA is the best, you're still cheating. It's not right what you're doing to baseball.
Well, that's the way it is, bro. You know, like back in the day, the Yankees had all the money and they won all the World Series, and just sad because I remember when the Braves had the best 5 players in the league, and they never won a game because they couldn't afford to get hitters.
Yeah, that is part of the problem. But you have all of them. You have the guy, and you have the one that pitches and hits. You have the one that does both of those things. Thank you, Felipe. Good talking to you.
The Angels didn't want to pay him the money, bro. They didn't want to get rid of Trout.
Yeah, $2 million.
They want to keep Orange County all white. They don't want a Chinito in the team.
Deferred payments, $2 million for Ohtani. Get out of here. Goodbye.
Shout out to my boy from the Angels, Joe Adele. That's my man.
Okay, but they weren't the California Angels. They were California Angels 10 years ago.
Oh, they're gonna go back, bro. They're gonna change. The owner is Mexican.
Yep.
He's gonna change the team. The owner of he's the first white person, first Mexican, bro, to have white people out in the fields. Opposite, you know.
All right, get out of here. Goodbye. Good talking to you. See you later. I am eager to hear Juju's thoughts on the show, the audience's thoughts on the show, because it is rare for us to go one topic like that all show, and I imagine there would be some objection to it. I will tell people as Super Bowl week begins that we have an intimate event in New Orleans with Dan Patrick. It's meaningful to me for a lot of reasons. I hope that we can show our audience and his audience some things that they have not seen before about how we do all of these things that we do in a very different way. I think his show is most simpatico with ours in the cultural landscape over the years, and Tipitina's is where we're going to be doing it in New Orleans. We're keeping it to just a few hundred people, and it's very limited. So if you have not made plans yet for Wednesday night, you need to just go to our X account, and there may be a few tickets left, but there wouldn't be very many left. And by the end of me talking about this, they'll probably be gone. So I recommend to you that you take part in this if either Dan Patrick or our show, if the environment, the ecosystem is something that's interesting to you.
It is the pinned tweet atop our Le Batard Show account. So head over there for just one quick link and take you right to checkout.
And Stugotz is headed out there. I know Billy's in bad shape. His stomach is hurting. That's not great. I don't know what happened with Lucy. I don't know if she fulfilled the challenge. I don't know if she's going to be out there this week, but I did see a bunch of people with suitcases and everything else just leave today. A bit of a guerrilla operation we've got around here where you just see the company pack up suitcases and run through the rain to get to the Super Bowl. So everybody's headed out there so that the rest of the week, God Bless Football is going to be taking over everything we're doing this week as the #1 football podcast in America. Juju, how upset were people that we spent the whole show on one topic? They're not going to tolerate us doing this again tomorrow.
People were not upset, Dan. It's good to see y'all, you guys, so beautiful people. People weren't upset, man. The breaking news is the breaking news. You dig me? Like, everybody was locked in. It's rare that we go so many days. These things be happening throughout the weekend, and they be wanting your responses on things. So people were very patient with you guys today.
All right.
However,
yes.
JPNT17 says, "Dear Le Batard Show, y'all are on crack if you think the Celtics would trade Tatum for Luka."
I agree with that. Like, when you guys said that earlier, I was like, no, they wouldn't.
Okay, that's fine, but there are 4 or 5 players, and we can have arguments and disagreements about all of it. Luka is unarguably, by the metrics, the better offensive player, the more efficient offensive player with less help than Jason Tatum had.
Tatum wasn't even the MVP during the finals. I don't understand why they wouldn't trade a lesser player for a better player.
Nice. Also, too, I think this has happened before, Dan. I remember on Radio Row a couple of years ago, I asked Justin Fields how did he feel about the blockbuster trade sending Kevin Durant to the Suns. So I think that there hasn't been nothing of this magnitude, but the NBA has been playing with this week for a couple of years now.
Okay, so this isn't – I thought trade deadline and Super Bowl week merging on this week was something that was new to this year. Am I wrong about that? I thought that the football season was longer and that these two things didn't happen the same week. I've got that wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I can send you the video.
Okay.
Me and Justin Fields were reacting to Kevin Durant being traded right on the spot.
All right, my
you feel
bad.
Me? It's all good. No, nobody's bad ever. That's the thing. This new
That's
year,
not true
nobody's
at all.
bad. Nah, nobody's bad at anything.
Okay, only
also,
if you've been in a
$2.
plane crash. If you've been in a plane crash, then you are no longer a bad person.
Ay. Also, $2 for calling me Guillermo the other day, but that's neither here nor there. Did you know that Nico Harrison was the Mavs GM before you realized his incompetence? 86 of the audience said no.
Oh, wow. So a whole lot of people were the same as me, and I felt guilt about this, where when Mark Cuban wasn't the one out here talking, I was confused. It's not a Nelson. It's not Mark Cuban. If it's not someone from the Nelson family, what's happening right now? I don't know this person speaking on behalf of the Mavs. Who have they thrown out here to explain the unexplainable?
Also, has the iPad replaced the newspaper as the thing that you bring into the bathroom? 75% of the audience says yes, it has.
People thought I was a liar there. People still think I'm a liar, that they think that I'm regularly, that I'm not hiding from children in the bathroom with my iPad.
Can we go back to the Mavericks real fast? Do you think Jason Kidd tried to get out of that press conference? Or he's just like, you don't need me up there, right? You're good. You got this. And he's like, no, I think we should be aligned. He's just like, oh, all right. I'll go up there with you. I definitely want to be up there.
Right. I don't think that he doesn't have plans on being there for 10 years. That's what legendary coaches do and plan for. So I think that the GM was a little bit goofy in that moment, but salute to him.
Goofy. That's that is basically you slicing someone up.
Come on.
For you. You're gentle with these people. Calling someone goofy, but he was goofy. There's not awkward. At best, we went awkward there. Did we not?
Yes, sir. Absolutely awkward. The look on Jason's kid's face was priceless. You dig me? Are you a fan of the Pro Bowl? 92% of the audience says no, they are not.
So, Jessica, what's happening there? Where I think it is just popular to complain about the exhibitions.
Some people just don't really like football, and that's fine. That's okay.
It's not okay. It's not okay around here. It's not okay in this America.
I don't
It's not
really
okay.
watch that much of the NBA. That's okay.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, Juju. Is it okay to not like football in America at Le Batard Show? What else you got?
Is it wrong if a Jim Nance interview takes place anywhere other than in front of a fireplace? 90% of the audience says yes, it is very wrong.
It's strange, though, because I also think of him as somebody who's wearing a sweater around his shoulders or wearing a sweater as well, which isn't something I associate with a fireplace. That's an either-or situation for me. Do I have that wrong? I'm not a cold weather person.
You're very
I don't
wrong.
know.
Yeah, it's
a Q-zip, too.
And I have confirmed Butler Cabin has a fireplace directly in the center.
Yes, of course it does.
It's like what a cabin's supposed to have. It can't be a cabin without a fireplace.
Yeah, and like a quarter zip is like a cozy outer garment that you can wear inside.
I think
your
a
cozy
sweater.
fire.
I feel like a sweater and a fireplace is too much. Now I'm hot.
Precisely.
No.
Well, but a quarter zip
Cozy.
is...
You're cozy.
Quarter zip
You're
is fine.
warm. Toasty, I would also use as another synonym.
Yes.
I'm a real ignorant novice here when it comes to cold weather things.
Pick up a booth.
I'm glad we got Mike Ryan here today. What's up, brother? You're looking beautiful as always.
Thank you, Juju.
Someone from Twitter, however, says Mike Ryan is skating on the Eagles won't make the playoffs this year take.
Yeah, I was totally
Did that
wrong.
happen?
No, I said that the NFL caught up to what Sirianni was doing offensively, and for the first couple of weeks it was looking all right, but then that bye week came and they totally changed their identity. And yeah, I'll eat it. Kellen Moore and Sirianni, they figured something out. No doubt. They're completely different. For a full season, it felt like he was incapable of moving on from the offense that he had under Steichen. No, credit to them. I was wrong.
Hell yeah. Salute to you, Mike. Accountability at its finest. Man.
Well, but he didn't volunteer before now and had to be called out publicly.
No,
It's
I mean,
not
I appreciate the opportunity to say I'm sorry, Philadelphia.
Do Wemby next.
No, I was right about that.
Oh, wow,
I warned
you're
you all.
right about that.
I warned you all.
He did warn us all. He did warn us all because some of that Wemby stuff be looking like, okay, this brother didn't even jump. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Neither here nor there. Is the number 77 the opposite of slimming? 85% of the audience says yes.
You say neither here nor there, but as a basketball head, Juju, your thoughts are that De'Aaron Fox is going to become what next to Wemby? Because that has the potential of being very quietly a really smart strategic move that De'Aaron Fox just made. Nobody ever wants to be traded to San Antonio. I don't know that I could give Wemby a better compliment than he wants people to come play with him in San Antonio.
Right, and they didn't have to give up the rookie Castle or Vassell. Like, I think that the Spurs just put themselves in the competition or in the conversation for that championship sometime soon. Maybe not this year, but they have a bright future in San Antonio.
Nobody cares if it's not this year, though, right? Like, it's maybe not this year because we're all aware, holy shit, Wemby's 21. He might still actually be physically growing.
Right, that's scary. So scary. Is the Impractical Jokers somewhere on your TV at all times? 64% of the people says yes, it is.
Is it because they've got some special deal with their intellectual property that they were able to do that? Because Impractical Jokers, I think, is one of the great business television moves of all time, but I don't understand. I think it's just because they own all their own shit, right? And they can just put it everywhere, and it's just, who doesn't want to watch that for 22 minutes?
Right, that and ridiculousness.
I was about to
always
say,
lock in.
ridiculousness would like a word in this conversation of most re-airable shows ever.
Well, but so MTV just became ridiculousness, correct? Ridiculousness exists as something to just re-air all the time at what used to be the great mountain of sports, innovation in music and television, music television. It's just ridiculousness now. How is that possible?
I don't know, brother. America is happening right now. Everything is happening. And speaking of happening, salute to Kendrick Lamar for clean sweep last night at the Grammys. Beyonce with Album of the Year. Oh my God, the Grammys was so entertaining. I came into the Grammys thinking, here we go. I'm gonna have to get chaperoned over the head to death. But I'm like, dang, Chaperone is a cool person. She spoke and advocated for people. Sabrina Carpenter was hats off to the Grammys last night. It was phenomenal.
Can you guys? We didn't talk Grammys at all today, and I have fallen out of all award show interest, of almost any kind. Did the Grammys capture your attention yesterday as a music guy?
It was going on at the same time as the NASCAR race, but I saw the final third of it. My wife watched the entire thing. She said all the performances were great. She couldn't name her favorite one, really, quite honestly.
Right.
I went back and watched this Chaperone thing because I love that goddamn song.
Do you think Jaden Smith was like looking at what are you? Come on, Kanye! I put a house on my head. I can't get any of the headlines, Kanye.
Pink
Damn
Pony
it.
Club is anthemic. That is a great song.
Juju,
Hell
what
yeah,
else
man.
from the Grammys was worth talking about that we didn't get to today?
I mean, like Mike said, Chris said, the outfits were pretty crazy. I think that Kanye and his wife, they definitely took a chance last night and got the heck on. I don't know. It was a lot. I don't want to be critical of these people because they live in their own lives. But when you got kids walking around those red carpets and everything, it's kind of hard to stomach some of that stuff. But hats off to everybody. Hats off to also just the production. Dochi. It's just a lot of names who just really stepped up last night and just did a great job.
Are you dressed this way because you're returning from some sort of Grammys after party, or what is it? What is happening here? I'm not used to the tie instead of the jerseys and the gear.
Oh man! So somebody throw the dead fish in Dan's lap. I'm actually on the way to a funeral after this shortly, and the timing was a little different.
Okay.
You feel me? I threw on the Mexico hat just to show my brothers and sisters support. You feel me? I'll take off my hat. You feel me? Yes, sir.
All right, give me the dead fish in here. I'm sorry I ended.
In
that
your
way,
defense, though,
Juju.
Juju's so stylish. It's
Yes.
not crazy for him to show up in a suit.
That's correct. But if I had the last 10 seconds of my life to do over again, I would do them differently.
It's all good, brother. I love you guys.
See you later, Ju.
Later, man.
All righty.